Chapter 787. In fact, Han Fei had seen Yu Ji use this trick in the Coral Deadland. However, at that time, she didn't arrive, but possessed. But this time, Han Fei saw the power in the eyes of the Golden Phantom. If Chao Jiaran hadn't used the fist mark of the Chao family twice, the human side wouldn't have gained much. Yu Ji was silent for a while. A top-level secret method. Han Fei asked, "Can you teach me?" Han Fei just asked casually. That thing was indeed a bit strong, but he didn't know what its side effects were. However, in any case, if he could trick it, it would be his trump card. Yu Ji shook her head. "No." Han Fei didn't insist. "I saved you once, so I've paid you back." Yu Ji frowned. "Okay. Although the loss was too big this time, as long as Yu Ying is alive, I don't need to worry. However, I don't understand why the human beings knew we would go there. And they even set a trap in advance." Han Fei shook his head. "I don't know. One of the human beings is very strong, and his perception range may be extremely terrifying." Yu Ji took a breath. To be able to arrange the deployment in advance, he must have sensed us from at least 50 kilometers away from us. Even ordinary peak-level hidden fishers may not have such a perception range. Han Fei was surprised. A hidden fisher can't sense 50 kilometers away? Yu Ji nodded. Humans have a visualization technique, but we sea demons have very few, and it's quite difficult to cultivate our soul. Generally, we rely on the 72-floor ancient demon realm and the bottom of the 10,000 demon tower to cultivate. However, we also have our advantages. Although humans have a visualization technique, they lack combat skills such as spiritual attacks, but we have them. Han Fei wondered, can't we snatch it from humans? Yu Ji shook her head. How can anyone carry something as important as a visualization technique with them? Han Fei asked again, can't you break illusions with strong spiritual power? Yu Ji shook her head. Not necessarily. Those who can set up illusions will only have stronger spiritual power. Besides, illusions, like arrays, need to find a weak point. Unless one's Tao heart is abnormally firm, it's usually very difficult to break a brilliant illusion. Han Fei thought, so that's how it is. It seems that I still have a long way to go. However, I'm not afraid. I have the yin-yang divine eyes. When necessary, I should be able to break illusions easily. Han Fei suddenly rose. Okay, let's go our separate ways. Yu Ji was slightly surprised. Why? There's no difference between two people and one person. It's even more convenient for me to escape alone. Yu Ji took a deep look at Han Fei. Okay, but killing that withered tree is still your goal. You also don't have to think about hiding and not participating in the later operations. Only Lord Yu Hun knew the way out. Now, Lord Yu Hun was probably dead. Either we join another team, or we wait for someone else at the withered tree. Han Fei was stunned. He had forgotten this question. When they came, they didn't say how to get out. As for where he came from, he couldn't find it. Even if he found it, it didn't seem to be the exit. Han Fei thought for a moment and nodded. All right. With that, Han Fei chose a random direction and dashed out. After a while, confirming that Yu Ji didn't follow him, Han Fei grinned. I finally broke up those teams. Although he didn't kill all of them, it was still not bad. Why didn't you kill Yu Ji? Mainly because Han Fei didn't know whether or not Yu Ying saw him and Chao Jiaran watching the show. If she did, Yu Ying would definitely accuse him of being a traitor. But it would be different if he saved Yu Ji. As for Yu Ying, he wouldn't be so lucky. But in any case, he had to find a way to kill Yu Ying first. Relying on his memory, Han Fei chased Yu Ying to the place where she turned into a shadow. A moment later, Han Fei found that the place was empty. He scanned with his senses and found that the 40-kilometer range was rather empty. Yu Ying didn't find anything, but he seemed to have found a 100-year tree demon. Han Fei scanned the corner where the 100-year tree demon was, but he didn't find any spiritual fruits. So he naturally wasn't in the mood to fight. Where did she go? I have to kill her. Han Fei unhurriedly took out a peppermint leaf and stuffed it into his mouth. Then, with a flash between his eyebrows, Little Black and Little White appeared. Han Fei touched Little White's head. Daughter, there was someone here just now. Did you smell her? Find her. Yu Ying was in the shadow state. Her face was pale, and she had lost half of her strength. However, she couldn't stay here yet. She wondered if the human beings were still nearby. More importantly, she had to spread the news that Yu Fei had betrayed the clan. Otherwise, who knew how many more people would be deceived by him this time? Just now, when she performed the shadow disintegration technique, the last thing she saw was Han Fei and Chao Jiaran standing close to each other. They didn't intend to fight at all. Instead, they watched Yu Bing and the others who were fighting in the field with smiles. At this point, Yu Ying recalled everything that happened before. Why did the human beings set up an ambush? Why did Han Fei choose this path? Also, although the thousand-year tree demon was killed by Yu Fei, he was the one who said that he smelled it. If he hadn't said that, Lord Yu Hun wouldn't have sensed the meadow at all. But why did Yu Fei betray the clan? That was what Yu Ying couldn't figure out. Yu Fei was an azure sea blue demon. How could he win the trust of human beings? Also, Yu Fei was brought back by Yu Ji, but Yu Ji was fighting too. Or was it just a ruse? Were Yu Ji and Yu Fei acting? At this moment, Yu Ying's head was muddled. Did Yu Ji betray the clan too? Yu Ying was horrified. It would be fine if Yu Fei betrayed the clan. Although the 10,000 Demon Valley praised Yu Fei, it was said that Yu Fei wouldn't stay in the 10,000 Demon Valley. So, they didn't give him many gifts, not even a semi-divine weapon. But if Yu Ji betrayed the clan, it would be a big deal. Yu Ji was Yu Beichen's disciple and knew too many secrets about the 10,000 Demon Valley. All of a sudden, Yu Ying remembered that her weapon shop was robbed. In total, 6 weapon shops had been robbed twice. The first time was still alright, as only materials and spirit spring water had been stolen. The last time, even the divine artifact refining platform was stolen. All of this happened after Yu Fei came. But how could Yu Fei do that? Also, Yu Fei wasn't there at that time. Instantly, Yu Ying panicked. Yu Ji betrayed the clan too. Han Fei had always thought that he had been exposed. Little did he know that Yu Ying's deduction was that Yu Ji betrayed the clan. If he knew that, he definitely wouldn't have chased her. That was Yu Ji's business. What did it have to do with him? At this moment, Han Fei chased all the way. Little White wasn't slow, so Yu Ying couldn't have gone far. As long as she entered his perception range, she wouldn't be able to run away. It only took about half an hour for Han Fei to perceive a shadow in his perception. Immediately, he was overjoyed. To avoid alerting the enemy, Han Fei stopped. This Yu Ying was very good at escaping. What if she ran away again if he went over rashly? Immediately, Han Fei summoned the Overlord in his mind. He split a wisp of his soul with the soul-splitting technique and gave it to the Overlord. Little Black and the Overlord left quietly. In the bracelet, Shu Shan, who rarely spoke, suddenly said, "I'm curious. You seem to have some secrets. You seem to have a spectral contractual spiritual beast." Han Fei knew that Little Black couldn't hide it from Shu Shan, so he didn't deny or answer and simply let the Overlord be swallowed into Little Black's mouth. Shu Shan said awkwardly, "However, I can't use it in front of experts. I can vaguely sense it. If I were at my peak, I would have been able to detect it." Han Fei was rather speechless. That's because Little Black's level wasn't high. Otherwise, no one would be able to detect it if they weren't paying attention. Yu Ying was recovering. After swallowing 3 spiritual fruits in a row, she would be able to recover 80% of her strength in a moment. Then her safety would be guaranteed. Yu Ying was finally reassured after sensing again. It's good that no one is chasing us. Yu Ji and Yu Fei must die. All of a sudden, Yu Ying sensed the air of death, and a terrifying sense of crisis came to her heart. Not good. Yu Ying's neck was bitten off. Then, a brawny man in full armor appeared and smashed Yu Ying's head with a rusty stick. It had nothing to do with whether or not she had a semi-divine weapon. Who could have predicted that a crisis would come so suddenly? After the successful attack, Han Fei's true body had already dashed away. At the same time, he stepped on Yu Ying's golden battle suit under his feet. The immortal seal could save people, but it couldn't take away the semi-divine weapons. However, if Yu Ying was too close, she could simply store the semi-divine weapons into her body. The overlord simply stood there, waiting for Yu Ying to show up. 1 second. 2 seconds. Before the second was over, Yu Ying showed up. Once again she felt a terrifying sense of crisis. She immediately turned into a shadow, and hundreds of shadows scattered in all directions. Han Fei was indeed stunned when the 100 shadows escaped. The overlord wasn't himself and couldn't see them clearly. However, Little Black chased after one of them. Han Fei's eyes immediately glittered. Hey! I didn't know until today that Little Black can see through clones. Awesome. Yu Ying was stunned too. Her true body was seen through? Han Fei quickly dashed over with a golden harpoon in his hand and a sneer on his face. Everything would be fine as long as Yu Ying was killed. After only 10 seconds, a streak of light rose from the bottom of the sea, and the terrifying power made the algae sword leaves on its way back. Yu Ying saw Han Fei and immediately understood everything. Yu Fei, you colluded with human beings. Phew. Seeing that it was too late to dodge, Yu Ying charged back with white flames on her body. Bam! Yu Ying rolled hundreds of meters on the ground. It was a shame that there were no 100-year tree demons nearby, or they would have stabbed her. Pooh! Yu Ying vomited a mouthful of blood and changed her expression. What a strong power! Have you been hiding your strength? The 3rd chapter? Asking for votes. 3 chapters today, all of which are more than 3,000 words. I'll live stream it at 7 in the evening. Well, I'll live stream it once a week. End of this chapter. Chapter 788. After learning how to split spiritual energy, Han Fei was much stronger than Yu Ying, as evidenced by the fact that he punched through the spiritual plants of the 3 manipulators. Han Fei grinned and bared his teeth. You know too much. Little Black had already jumped up, and Yu Ying moved sideways at the moment of danger as fast as a blurred shadow. She had lost her semi-divine weapon, and she didn't dare to take it back. At this moment, a shadow flashed between Yu Ying's eyebrows, and a shadow scorpion appeared. Then, the shadow scorpion turned into a half-mermaid identical to Yu Ying. Both of them donned a set of supreme-grade battle suits and a layer of shadow barrier at the same time. At this moment, the overlord was already standing behind Yu Ying. Han Fei walked close with the golden harpoon and chuckled. I only have one question for you. If you answer it, you can live. If you can't, you must die. Yu Ying glanced back, only to find that the invisible danger didn't come to her again. Yu Ying took a deep breath. What's the question? Han Fei smiled. Qi Xue Huan asked me to find a golden fruit. What is it? Don't say that you don't know. You only have one chance. If my guess is correct, the fruit is so important that most people know about it, especially those who are talented and strong like you. Yu Ying's heart trembled in the shadow. I won't live either if I tell you. Han Fei chuckled. If you say that I'm a traitor, so be it. I'm not going back to the 10,000 Demon Valley. It doesn't matter if I kill you or not. You can take the gamble. Yu Ying looked at Han Fei in shock. You're going to take the channel on the human side? Han Fei tilted his head. I'll give you 3 seconds to consider. 3, 2, before Han Fei shouted, Yu Ying had already said, the heritage dredging fruit is a fruit that can improve one's demon heritage. This? Han Fei gasped hard. Was there such a thing in this world? He had a heritage stealing fruit that was almost unbelievable, but he couldn't use it right now. What about the heritage dredging fruit? Han Fei narrowed his eyes. What's the effect? Yu Ying shook her head. Who knows what's in the legends? Han Fei was surprised. How do you know such an important thing? What if someone finds you and eats you if your spiritual heritage can be improved? Yu Ying shook her head. Of course not. Lord Bluefeather knows the level of our demonic heritage. Who would dare to eat it? You don't need it at all. You're a growth-type spirit vein, so it doesn't matter whether you eat it or not. Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. I see. All of a sudden, Shu Shan said from the bracelet, a spirit vein that can raise one's cultivation level by an entire grade. However, the vein dredging fruits here should have been plucked in my time. Don't tell me they're growing again? Old man, you know it too? Shu Shan said angrily, what old man, call me big brother, I'm still young. Han Fei curled his lips. That's good. I don't know how many years have passed since your time. It must have grown. Otherwise, why would those people from the 10,000 Demon Valley rob it? Shu Shan, humph. Are you going to let this woman go? Release? Han Fei said to Yu Ying, let's go. Han Fei activated the majestic mystic spell and punched again. He didn't want Yu Ying to break into shadows again and run away. Yu Ying burst into fury. Shameless. A terrifying power locked onto Yu Ying. Faced with such a terrifying power, Yu Ying instantly roared, Sea God's possession. Han Fei chuckled. It wouldn't be a big deal if it were Yu Ji's Sea God's possession. He had seen the Sea God's possession before, and it was nothing to be scared of. Boom. After punching, Han Fei took out a cluster of candle dragon blood and stuffed it into his mouth. The Overlord had already stopped another Yu Ying. Han Fei's fist mark turned golden. Although it was less powerful, it lasted longer. After only 10 seconds, Yu Ying was already covered in blood. Han Fei slightly raised his eyebrows. I'm really curious about you tough guys. I didn't notice when you swapped lives with your companion spirit. Poochie! A large area of void chains suddenly appeared below Yu Ying's feet, followed by Little Black's bite, the Overlord's stick, and Han Fei's art of invincibility. However tough Yu Ying was, she was pierced through on the spot. Suddenly, Han Fei sensed that a team of 9 sea demons was approaching from 40 kilometers away. Han Fei frowned. How did they come so fast? Han Fei stood still. He was waiting. 1 second passed. 2 seconds passed. When Yu Ying came out of the void and launched another sacrificing punch, the team of sea demons had at least 10 seconds left. Han Fei wasn't panicked at all. Disintegrate. Han Fei's pupils constricted. Could this guy turn into shadow fragments? Freeze. A voice came from the bracelet, and Yu Ying's half-disintegrated shadow was frozen in midair. Boom. Enveloped by the sacrificing punch, Han Fei recalled Little Black, Little White, the 9-tailed mantis shrimp, and the Overlord and was about to leave. Thank you, old man. Han Fei was rather surprised. This old man had been dead for so many years, but he was still so strong? He stopped just like that? Was he trying to intimidate him? Yes, he must be intimidating him. When Han Fei was about to leave, he discovered that a glowing bone floated out of the place where Yu Ying died. Han Fei quickly held it in his hand. A string of information popped up in his eyes. Name: Bone Transformation Spiritual Lamp. Introduction: Refined from the bone of the giant deep-sea demon, it is a godly weapon with a directional nature. Wherever the spirit lamp shines, creatures below level 50 will melt within 3 breaths. Creatures above level 50 will melt within 10 breaths. Creatures above level 60 will melt within 100 breaths. Creatures above level 70 will melt within 100 breaths. Quality: Mid-quality divine weapon usage once, unrecastable, unrefined. Note: all creatures within the range of the spiritual lamp will be significantly slowed down. Hiss! Han Fei gasped. What the hell is this? A mid-quality divine weapon? Yu Ying was at the peak of the demon transformation state. Why did she carry a mid-quality divine weapon? Unfortunately, Han Fei had no time to think and could only slip away. Dozens of seconds passed. Someone found Yu Ying's broken body. It was broken, but it was still recognizable. The leader's expression changed. It's Yu Ying. Something happened to Yu Hun's team. Someone exclaimed, how is it possible? That team is very strong. Lord Yu Hun, Yu Ji, Yu Ying, and Yu Fei. The leader said angrily, we were only 10 seconds late. The water is still surging. Go after them. Han Fei pondered for a moment. There were too many people in this team. It wouldn't be appropriate to lure them to Chao Jiaren's side. He was studying the bone transformation spiritual lamp, which was too horrifying. It meant that he would be killed in 3 seconds if he was illuminated by it. How horrifying was that? Something big must be going on if they're carrying a divine weapon. Is it to kill the leafless tree? It must be. Qi Shuehuan said that he didn't need to participate in the killing of the leafless tree. It seems that he's prepared. Han Fei's eyes flashed. Since Yu Ying carried a divine weapon, did the other teams carry divine weapons too? Sensing that the sea demons were moving away from him, Han Fei didn't plan to trap them anymore. Chao Jiaren's team was obviously made of 10 people, and so was his team. Their combat power was about the same. Besides, Chao Jiaren's team had just been through a battle, and it was possible that they hadn't recovered yet. Forget it. Let's just go. Half a day later, Han Fei smashed a 100-year tree demon with a punch and retracted the void chain. Han Fei dug out a spiritual fruit in an arched coral cave, which could increase his strength by 20,000 kilograms, and swallowed it. Han Fei said to the sea, "Old man, which sea area is this place connected to? And what is that withered tree? What are the benefits of killing it or saving it?" The bracelet was silent for a long time. "Would you believe me if I told you that I don't know?" Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Of course not. You've lived for such a long time, but you've never been here before." Shu Shan said, "When you first saw me, it was because I was here to provide support. I wasn't originally here. So I don't know the secrets of this place, but I've heard about it. For example, I know the heritage dredging fruit. As for where it leads, I'm not sure." Han Fei nodded. "Can you guess?" Shu Shan was helpless. "How can I guess?" "Well, it seems possible. First of all, that withered tree is definitely not a 10,000-year tree demon. I've seen a real 10,000-year tree demon. A 10,000-year tree demon whose strength is not suppressed is as strong as me. Since both sides are fighting for the withered tree, it should be the key to open the passage. I mean, if I guess, the passage may lead to a vast expanse of demonic plants with unknown dangers." "Huh? Old man, you've even seen a 10,000-year tree demon. Have you ever been to a demonic plant forest?" Shu Shan said leisurely, "Human beings once fought side by side with a race, which was the demonic plants. But later, human beings and demonic plants also fought, which was a secret in my time. Now, human beings are weak and have no chance to cooperate with demonic plants." Han Fei asked in surprise, "Human beings have cooperated with demonic plants?" Shu Shan snorted. "Human beings and sea demons have even intermarried. Is there a problem with cooperating with demonic plants?" Han Fei was silent for a long time, his eyes unfocused. "Well, have human beings intermarried with demonic plants?" Shu Shan seemed to think about it seriously, and finally said leisurely, "How can a tree sleep?" Han Fei asked, "Doesn't a fish sleep?" Shu Shan was silent again. "You do have a point." Han Fei touched Little White's head and said, "Let's go, daughter. Let's continue to hunt for treasures." One day later, Han Fei got 11 spiritual fruits. He was really amazed that this place was simply a spiritual fruit plantation. Han Fei wished he could live here for a year. Of course, it was definitely not that easy. During this period, Han Fei encountered 2 human teams, which he avoided. He also encountered a sea demon team, which he avoided too. This time, Little White suddenly rushed to a place. Han Fei chased Little White for a while, and his eyes widened. It seemed to be a spiritual fruit orchard. In his perception, there were 3 spiritual fruits. Of course, he also found a few 100-year tree demons. After swimming another 10 kilometers, Han Fei stopped. More than 40 people were fighting fiercely, and among them, there were even 1,000-year tree demons. So many people? However, when Han Fei glanced at them, he immediately beamed with joy. Luo Xiaobai? Lu Renquang? However, before Han Fei was overjoyed, he found that human beings were in a disadvantageous position in terms of numbers. According to the division, human beings only had 2 groups, and now there were 17 people left. There were 3 groups of sea demons, and now there were 26 of them. There were 9 more people. Han Fei immediately frowned. "Old man, are you going to take action or not?" The bracelet vibrated. "I can't. When I helped you freeze that sea demon, the 500 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid you gave me was almost used up." Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Human beings are in a disadvantageous position, and you're not going to take action?" Shu Shan scoffed. "You hid your strength. If you take action, you can fight 5 or 6 of them alone." Han Fei, first update? Asking for votes, End of this chapter. Chapter 789. Since Shu Shan didn't want to fight, Han Fei couldn't do anything. If Han Fei fought like this, he might be beaten by both sides as soon as he showed up. However, since Luo Xiaobai and Lu Renkuang were here, he could have a showdown with them, but he had to choose the right time. At this moment, the overwhelming vines almost turned this place into a seaweed wall. On the human side, except for Luo Xiaobai, Lu Renkuang, Yi Baiyu, and Chu Sun from the Grand Void Academy, Han Fei only knew 4 people. This meant that he should know many of the people who came this time. Yi Baiyu's speed was so fast that he flashed like a white stream of light in the dark bottom of the sea. Chu Sun was surrounded by swords. Han Fei still remembered his Grand Void Sword art, which was a sea of swords. At this moment, he was locked in battle with a sea demon. 2,000-year tree demons drilled into the ground from time to time. A sea demon was blasted to the ground, and immediately the 1,000-year demon's sting burst out, directly stabbing the sea demon into a sieve. Han Fei glanced at Luo Xiaobai, who was protected by Lu Renkuang and a group of armorists, controlling as many as 12 kinds of marine creatures. As a result, this chaotic battlefield was filled with all sorts of colors. There were pollen shining with silver light, cordyceps like water snakes, and flowers with huge food sacs. Beside Luo Xiaobai, there were 5 manipulators. The 6 of them held up at least half of the sea demon's combat power. Han Fei scratched his head. Now, the 2 sides seemed to be fighting fiercely. However, they hadn't launched a killing move yet. Besides, they all had immortal seals. No matter how he counted, it was equivalent to more than 80 people fighting. Han Fei couldn't help but ask, "Old man, the immortal seals are so annoying. Can't they be broken?" Shu Shan nodded. "Yes, if you become a hidden fisher, you can blast into the void and kill them without waiting for them to come out." Han Fei said irritably, "That's too early." Shu Shan thought for a while and suddenly said, "By the way, I think some of these people are not bad and have good physiques. When they die, can you bring me their corpses?" Han Fei said with a black face, "Brother, I'm alive and well. Why are you cursing me to die?" Shu Shan said, "I've thought about it. That puppet of yours definitely won't work. Splitting one's divine soul to attack was basically tantamount to suicide. Although you're powerful fighting alone, you're not strong enough to hold off so many people. Unless you still have a trump card. But at your current level, even if you have a trump card, you won't be able to kill so many people at once. Therefore, when they consume too much spiritual energy, they will die." Han Fei was horrified. The sea demons had never heard of the profession of spirit gatherer. Now they seemed to be in a stalemate. If the demonic chi or spiritual chi in these sea demons were running out, it would be time for them to break out. Besides, the human side seemed to have only 2 spirit gatherers. Maybe the human side would consume spiritual energy faster. Thinking of this, Han Fei made up his mind. Immediately, Han Fei moved forward more than 10 kilometers. Through the perception of plants, Luo Xiaobai's reaction distance should be about 20 kilometers. However, that was more than half a year ago. It should be 30 li by now, right? However, Luo Xiaobai was fully focused on the battle at this moment, and Han Fei didn't know how much she could perceive now. Han Fei immediately said to her via voice transmission, "Xiaobai, I'm Han Fei." Luo Xiaobai was in an absolutely calm state at this moment. She didn't expect to encounter 3 teams of sea demons. In the first confrontation, both sides had casualties. Because of her divine manipulator skills and her ability to control the 1,000-year tree demon, she killed 6 sea demons at the beginning, but on the human side, 3 were also killed. In her opinion, it was not a good deal. At this moment, more than half of the spiritual energy in their bodies had been consumed, and the spirit gatherers couldn't keep up. This was also the reason why the sea demons didn't break out. The other side was waiting for the human side to run out of spiritual energy and then suddenly break out. After all, the other side had far more people than the human side. Lu Renkuang suggested, "Xiaobai, how about we break out? I can easily absorb 3 half-mermaids with the sky-swallowing technique. How about killing a few first?" Yi Baiyu rushed back and said to Luo Xiaobai via voice transmission, "When should we do it? If I keep running like this, I won't be able to hold on much longer. I have to take care of several sides on my own." Luo Xiaobai said expressionlessly, "Wait for me for a while. I'm accumulating strength." Chu Sun also had a headache. "I can't hold on much longer. Now, I still have enough spiritual energy. It shouldn't be a problem for me to kill 2 or 3 of them with my strongest move." Someone was speechless. "You killed 2 or 3 immortal seals. You killed them, but they came out again. The result is the same." The manipulators were all pale. A spirit gatherer was providing them with spiritual energy. At this moment, the spirit gatherer couldn't hold on much longer. "Captain, can you kill them with your ultimate move?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "I'll send the 2,000-year tree demons out later." At this moment, a voice sounded in Luo Xiaobai's head, "Xiaobai, I'm Han Fei." A large swath of vines exploded. Luo Xiaobai lost her balance, and a large swath of vines collapsed. On the sea demon's side, someone grinned and laughed. "Human beings can't hold on much longer. Don't rush to take action. The longer we delay, the better it will be for us. Once that manipulator collapses, it will be time for us to take action." Han Fei asked, "Xiaobai, can you sense where I am? I'm about 30 kilometers away from you. Now I look like an inferior man-fish." After the excitement, Luo Xiaobai glanced at him. "I can sense it. How can you prove that you are Han Fei?" Han Fei said without hesitation, "The 5 of us explored the cave in the back mountain of the academy together, and then we fainted. We also went to explore teacher Xiao Zhan's secrets, and then we were hung up and flew into the air." Luo Xiaobai suddenly blushed and her breath fluctuated. Lu Renquang glanced at Luo Xiaobai. "What's wrong? Can't you hold on any longer? If you can't, I'll rush out and kill them." Luo Xiaobai nodded. "I'm fine." Luo Xiaobai saw Han Fei's appearance through the spiritual plant and immediately asked, "How did you become a sea demon? Where's Xiaochan?" Han Fei quickly said, "Don't worry about it. Xia Xiaochan is not dead, and neither am I. But my life tablet may be broken. I have an enhanced version of Poison God here, 10 kilograms. You can have it all. You can crush it among them. I'll give you the antidote too. You have to hold on for 20 seconds before you launch a full-scale attack." Han Fei immediately took out a bottle of enhanced version of Poison God and a bottle of antidote on the ground. 2 vines extended from the ground and dragged the 2 bottles into the ground. After receiving the bottles, Luo Xiaobai spoke to everybody telepathically. "Everybody, pay attention." Han Fei did not dare to make too much noise. Yu Hun's perception range was about 20 kilometers when his level was suppressed, but some people had a perception range higher than his. Luo Xiaobai, for example, had a perception range of 30 kilometers. However, their attention was not on him at this moment. Also, Han Fei had cast a concealment array and a breath-concealing array on himself. It was too late for him to turn into a human being. He could only appear as an inferior man-fish. However, Han Fei didn't know whether or not he should return to the 10,000 Demon Valley yet. Also, if he went out just like that, human beings would see that he was an inferior man-fish and then turn into Han Fei. He would be imprisoned for the rest of his life in the Scattered Stars prison. It was hard for him to explain. It was not a question of whether or not he could help, but why he could turn into a fish. The Thousand-Star City would never allow the fish transformation technique to appear again. In the bracelet, Shu Shan asked in surprise, "Do you know someone here? Let me guess. Is it the girl who is the strongest manipulator? TSK, your perception range is more than 30 kilometers. Not bad." Han Fei said gloomily, "Don't talk now. Help me when it's time. If you can loot the spirit awakening fluid from those half-mermaids, you can have it all." Shu Shan snorted. Why did they bring the spirit awakening fluid when they came in? However, the life stones work on me. Some of them used to be experts at the peak of the sea demon realm, right? 3 teams can have 3 life stones. If you can get the life stones, I can help you once. Han Fei was overjoyed. Kill them all? Pooh! The bracelet shivered. Get lost. I can help you kill 5 of them, the kind that can kill them directly without using the immortal seal. Deal. You can attack first. Shu Shan asked, why? Han Fei said, I have a backup plan. Wouldn't it be a great loss if we hit them too hard? But Luo Xiaobai said, everyone, prepare to attack in 10 seconds. Remember, hold my vines one by one and take the antidote. Lu Renkuang said in surprise, Xiaobai, wait, why do you have poison god? I remember that Chao Jiaran took all of Chao Chio's poison god. Is Chao Jiaran here? Luo Xiaobai said, don't talk nonsense. Take the antidote first. I'll explain to you later. 10 seconds passed in a flash. Luo Xiaobai suddenly shouted, everyone, swallow the spiritual fruit and attack with all your strength. No need to hold back. Luo Xiaobai put on a faint smile and pointed her finger in the air. Deep blue, sea-covering vine. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 790. As Luo Xiaobai attacked, all her spiritual energy was exhausted, and a massive number of blue flower buds suddenly bloomed within 2,000 meters. Yi Baiyu roared, use all your secret techniques. Brora sword slash. Sound waves burst out of Chu Sun's mouth. 6 styles of Grand Void, the 4th style, sword hanging sky waterfall. Lu Renkuang took out all his ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Torrents of knives and swords, violent war body, sky swallowing technique. In an instant, the sky was full of light and shadows, and a weird blue color swept across the sea. In the sky, all the sword shadows fell like rain. A sword light rushed through the crowd like a shadow, and none of the attacks could hit him. A dark big hole directly froze the 3 of them. No one dared to approach Lu Renkuang. The sea demons suddenly changed their expressions. The humans can't wait to attack. Everyone attack with all your strength. Sea King's secret technique. More than 30 half-mermaids burst into white flames at the same time, and 13 sets of golden battle suits and 7 water giants appeared in the crowd. After a round of attacks, a total of 16 sea demons and humans were killed, and then they walked out of the void again. One by one, they walked out of the void again with the immortal seal. After about 2 minutes, a half-mermaid's face suddenly changed. Not good, it's poisoned. Take anti-poison fruits and antidotes. Han Fei frowned. Why didn't he know there was antidote? No one gave it to him. Fuck, the 10,000 Demon Valley is treating me as a friend. Other people have antidotes, but I don't. In fact, Han Fei was wrong about them. If he hadn't been staring at the weapon shop, he would have found that some grocery stores in the canyon of the 10,000 Demon Valley sold antidotes. However, could an antidote block 10 kilograms of God of Poison? Except for the 13 guys in golden battle suits, the strength of half of the people suddenly plummeted. Han Fei quickly asked, Old man, when are you going to attack? Shu Shan shrugged. Don't panic. Young people are always impatient. If you want to win, you have to kill them all at once. You can't show up now. Send your puppet over later. You and your contractual spiritual beast will ambush those who escape. Han Fei gritted his teeth. With a thought, the Overlord appeared beside him and put the universe bracelet on the Overlord's hand. Han Fei's face was slightly twisted, full of pain, and a blue soul fire disappeared into the Overlord's eyes. Little Black opened its mouth and the Overlord jumped into it. A white spirit-swallowing fish was swimming leisurely at the bottom of the sea full of plants. And it was swimming in the direction of the battlefield. When Little White was within 20 miles of the battlefield, someone had already noticed it. A half-mermaid expert was slightly stunned. A spirit-swallowing fish? Why would there be spirit-swallowing fish in such a place? Some people found it strange that this spirit-swallowing fish seemed a little different. It was much more beautiful and exquisite than ordinary spirit-swallowing fish. Its white, translucent fins and long tail made this spirit-swallowing fish look especially sacred. Little White swam very fast. When it was 5 kilometers away, many people's senses scanned the area crazily. They felt it was unreasonable for a spirit-swallowing fish to appear here. However, because he didn't sense anyone or any other living beings, the battle didn't stop. When Lu Renkuang perceived the little fish, his eyes widened. Little white. At that moment, Lu Renkuang felt as if he had been struck by lightning, and the sky-swallowing technique showed signs of collapsing. Luo Xiaobai scolded him via voice transmission, "Don't be distracted. I'll explain to you later." Oh! Lu Renkuang seemed to have taken a tonic. Suddenly he was in high spirits and his momentum soared. There was a cracking sound above his head. This guy had made a breakthrough. The sea demons roared crazily, "Human beings are just struggling. They can't hold on for long. Their spiritual energy will be exhausted in 5 minutes at most, and we will usher in the dawn of victory. The glory will be ours." For a moment, both sides were even more excited. 5 or 6 heavenly talents with semi-divine suits had even begun to summon the Sea King's possession. Their terrifying power was no worse than that of the human side. However, being poisoned was being poisoned. Could they last for 20 breaths of time? Suddenly, a full moon scimitar condensed in front of a human heavenly talent. This scimitar shone like moonlight, trembled and hummed, and suddenly appeared above a sea demon's head. Chilla! The full moon scimitar fell, and the sea demon was instantly killed. At the same time, the human beings around all retreated, and an armorist took out a dark red shield in case of the enemy's dying strike. Boom! The armorist was blown away and crushed hundreds of meters on the bottom of the sea. Vomiting blood, he grinned. "Ha! My divine martial shield is truly the strongest defense." This was the first sea demon to die. He no longer had an immortal seal, but his dying strike still worried Luo Xiaobai. Luo Xiaobai suddenly roared, "Everybody retreat! Huh! Get the hell back! I'll chop you stinky fish and shrimps to death." A series of tyrannical bombardments quickly divided the two sides of the battlefield. The sea demon expert roared, "Everybody, human beings want to delay us. Those who still have immortal seals, let's launch a desperate attack and unleash your strongest power." However, all of a sudden, a towering giant walked out of the void. He was armed to the eyes with a bright red armor that was engraved with complicated array patterns. The towering giant carried a big shield in his left hand and an icy blue giant sword in his left. He looked so creepy and creepy. The sea demons were appalled. They didn't know where this man came from. Did he appear out of thin air? The human beings were also stunned. How could there be such a person who came in with us? Was there someone in this treasure trove? However, his appearance was too intimidating, wasn't it? He was like a king from the darkness who had just walked out of the abyss. Someone asked in shock, "Who is this? Is there any backup plan on our side?" Someone's eyes widened. He jumped out of the void. Could it be that a human expert tore open a void channel and came in from the outside? Lu Renkuang looked at the guy who suddenly appeared, dumbfounded. Then he looked at Xiaobai not far away, his heart surging. Even Luo Xiaobai was very surprised. What on earth did Han Fei experience outside? On the sea demon's side, a captain shouted, "2 heavenly talents, use the Sea King's possession to stop this man." Immediately, 2 heavenly talents swooped over despite the poison god. They even launched the sea god strike. The seawater was torn apart, causing 2 terrifying sonic booms. Then, the 2 of them added golden phantoms to themselves, trying to kill the overlord in one fell swoop. Someone exclaimed, "Dodge. That's the sea demon's most powerful attack. You can't take it head-on." Someone hurriedly said, "Brother, come here." The overlord raised his feet and took a small step forward. An overwhelming sword shadow suddenly burst out of the half-mermaid heavenly talent's body. Bam! The half-mermaid heavenly talent exploded, leaving only a broken skeleton. The other half-mermaid heavenly talent was horrified. What the hell? I didn't see this man attack. However, at this time, he had already exerted his speed to the extreme, and it was impossible for him to retreat. He thought to himself, "I still have the immortal seal. I still have a chance." The overlord raised his feet again, covering dozens of meters with each step, and hadn't yet raised the frost sword in his hand. However, the half-mermaid heavenly talent's body burst out again. With a bang, this prodigy's body also exploded. Shoot! Oh my god, are my eyes deceiving me? So strong. Is it really the Scattered Stars Island that has arrived? Cool, if only I can do the same. On the human side, they were inexplicably shocked and delighted. They were shocked that the Scattered Stars Island had a hidden trump card that was ridiculously strong. On the sea demon's side, countless people were horrified. Someone shouted, "A strong master has arrived." However, vines were growing all around. Besides, they were already very close to the Overlord. How could they escape? All of a sudden, 3 half-mermaid heavenly talents with golden fighting intent burst out of their bodies at the same time and exploded. A sense of desperation rose in the hearts of these half-mermaid heavenly talents. How the hell could they fight? It's true that we're heavenly talents. Facing these human heavenly talents, we're not scared at all. But where did this ferocious man come from? In the blink of an eye, 5 top heavenly talents exploded and died. Run! The moment the Overlord appeared, Luo Xiaobai had already said, "Spirit gatherers, give all your spiritual energy to manipulators." At this moment, Luo Xiaobai vomited a mouthful of blood and said with difficulty, "Deep blue forbidden." An invisible barrier sealed this place. When the sea demons were about to flee in horror, the Overlord finally waved his giant sword. Swish! The seawater was frozen, and the 100-meter-long sword instantly traversed more than 800 meters. The 7 half-mermaids along the way, including 2 heavenly talents, were instantly turned into frozen pieces, not even leaving a speck of dust. Hiss! Horror, fear, and desperation struck the hearts of all the sea demons almost instantly. How the hell were they going to fight? In an instant, 12 sea demons were killed. 7 people were killed with 1 sword strike? What kind of expert would be able to do such a thing? On the human side, they all swallowed, all shocked. Even Luo Xiaobai swallowed subconsciously, shocked. Lu Renquang was dumbfounded. I must be dreaming, right? Run. The human masters are coming in. Break through the seal. Let's go. Not good. Why haven't the 5 top heavenly talents resurrected yet? Why didn't the effect of the immortal seal work? A captain-level expert scolded harshly, "No, this sword is not as strong as we thought. Don't panic. Let's use Sea God's arrival." While the sea demons were fleeing in panic, the Overlord held Frostmourne with both hands and stabbed it into the ground. Deep blue flames were dancing in his eyes. To go in. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 791. Han Fei spoke from a distance. There were a total of 26 sea demons. 1 was killed by the full moon wheel, and there were 25 left. The Overlord killed 12 at once. Among them, the 5 that were killed by Shu Shan had already perished in the void, unable to come back to life. Of the 7 killed by Frostmourne, 5 walked out of the void again. In this way, the number of sea demons decreased sharply, and there were only 18 left. This number was only 1 more than the human side. If the human side used all their powerful means, they might win, but it would be a Pyrrhic victory. However, Han Fei still underestimated the consumption of Frostmourne. After 1 strike, 2/3 of the spiritual energy he gave to Frostmourne was consumed, and he couldn't swing the sword again. However, Han Fei didn't panic at all. He had prepared his next move, the Supreme Yin-Yang Wheel. Han Fei had never used this move in front of others before. The only time was when the blue sea wandering dragon daggers turned into a small Supreme Yin-Yang Wheel in the undersea city. However, that time was completely different from the real Supreme Yin-Yang Wheel. That was why Han Fei dared to take out this trump card at this moment. Little Black and Little White immediately turned into 2 mystic lights, 1 black and 1 white. When the 2 mystic lights converged, a rotating Tai Chi yin-yang pattern appeared. Swish! Yin and yang converged, like a magical wheel, falling into the crowd of sea demons that fled in panic. Han Fei naturally didn't aim at those guys in golden battle suits. He was hunting those ordinary heavenly talents who only wore ultra-quality demonic weapons. Gotcha! The demonic artifact broke. It couldn't even block for an instant. A sea monster was cut in half. After Han Fei killed 4 people in a row, a captain and a heavenly talent among the sea demons suddenly stood up and roared, "Sea God arrives!" In the distance, Han Fei frowned. This move was very powerful. It was a terrifying secret technique that could block the Chao family's fist mark twice. A golden phantom descended and fell on that person. The supreme yin-yang wheel and the golden phantom were fighting. Flames burned on that guy's body, and the surrounding water temperature rose rapidly. Buzz, buzz. 3 seconds passed in a row. Han Fei in the distance suddenly vomited a mouthful of blood. Whoosh! Han Fei said in his heart, "Xiao Bai, open a hole in my direction and let 5 people out at most." Han Fei sighed in his heart. Sure enough, Little Black and Little White are not strong enough and not omnipotent. The sea god's descent was simply too powerful. He felt that Little Black and Little White were injured, causing him to suffer a backlash. If he were to forcefully attack, he might be able to kill that genius in the end, but it would definitely not be worth it. The supreme yin-yang wheel dissipated, and Little White and Little Black swam to the tyrant's side, where no one dared to approach. On the other side, Luo Xiaobai roared, "Attack! Kill the enemy!" Luo Xiaobai knew that Han Fei had probably reached his limit. Otherwise, according to Han Fei's character, he would have killed all the enemies and left no one alive. But even so, Han Fei still had a trump card. He believed that he could still kill 5 more. However, Luo Xiaobai was unwilling. It didn't matter if others died, but Han Fei couldn't die. Han Fei had done more than enough. Luo Xiaobai pretended to vomit a mouthful of blood. A seal was unstable and a gap was directly broken. In that place, there were only 2 sea demons. Besides, they were not the kind of peerless heavenly talents wearing golden battle suits. The 2 sea demons immediately exclaimed and roared together, "The seal is broken. Let's go from here." As soon as the 2 jumped out of the seal, they saw a touch of blue light and the seal was closed again. The 2 looked at each other in horror and fled quickly without saying a word. They had to spread this news. On the human side, a strong master had come in. All teams had to be careful. In the seal, Luo Xiaobai actually couldn't hold on any longer. She just said to the others via voice transmission, "There are only 13 left here. We have to rely on ourselves. Kill! The tyrant couldn't fight anymore. Without the support of spiritual energy, it was just an iron lump. Although the tyrant's eyes were flashing with blue soul fire, he could at most block 1 sea demon at the moment. In order to maintain his sense of mystery and the illusion of power, he didn't attack again. The humans and the sea monsters started fighting again. This time, Han Fei really couldn't stop them. His target had already been the 2 people who had escaped. The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up. Luo Xiaobai let 2 people out. What does she mean? Are you afraid that I can't beat them? Do you think I've exhausted all my means? The 2 heavenly talents fled out in horror. One of them said, "It's over, it's over." All of a sudden, the 3 teams were wiped out. Human beings are too terrifying. This news must be spread. The other person felt his soul trembling. That strong master is invincible. He's definitely a backup plan left by human beings. We were lucky to come out. The others? Just when they rushed out more than 30 kilometers and thought they had escaped, countless black iron-like chains suddenly appeared in the air. 100 meters away from them, a silhouette blocked their way. Yu Fei? Master Yu Fei? Something happened ahead. Wait, what do you want to do? Beside Han Fei, Little Gold tilted his head and looked at the 2 people. Lightning blade. Sizzle. The terrifying light of the lightning blade drowned the 2 people in the blink of an eye. They didn't even have a chance to resist. They were drowned in Little Gold's terrifying power. One of them had already used the immortal seal. At this moment, he roared and launched a dying strike. However, Han Fei, wearing a golden battle suit and holding the golden seal in his other hand, slammed down. Although he failed to block it, Han Fei only rolled on the ground for about 10 meters before getting up again. Han Fei stood up and patted his body, his 2 big eyes flashing on his shoulders. Han Fei's lips curled. Sure enough, with the majestic mystic spell and Little Fatty's resistance, The dying strike is basically useless against me. TSK, I really want to deduce the void fishing art as soon as possible. Han Fei couldn't help turning his head. He wanted to go back with the human beings. However, once he went back, he might not have a chance to go to sea in a short time. He couldn't deduce the void fishing art anymore. Then his strength might not be able to continue to improve. How annoying! When the remaining person walked out of the void, what appeared in front of him was a fist mark. At that moment, he knew what despair was. Dying strike? Why was it called dying strike? Basically, once the immortal seal was destroyed, even if one came out alive, they would most likely die. As for the so-called dying strike, it was more like he wanted to take his opponent down with him. However, in the face of absolute power, was it really possible for them to perish together just because they said so? After killing the two of them easily, Han Fei recalled the nine-tailed mantis shrimp, Little Gold, and Little Fatty and sensed the surroundings, only to find that nobody noticed anything unusual. Only then did he pay attention to Luo Xiaobai. At this moment, humans and sea demons were still fighting. Facing a group of sea monsters that only wanted to escape, facing a group of sea monsters with more than half of their combat power, some of whom were still vomiting and having diarrhea. The human side was extremely unyielding. If not for the three captain-level powerhouses using the sea god's descent technique, all the sea demons would have died. Geniuses were geniuses after all. Not everyone had Shu Shan's terrifying, scalp-numbing battle prowess. Not everyone had terrifying weapons and combat skills like the sea-quelling bizarre treasures or the sun yin-yang wheel. Han Fei saw that the seal had been broken, and Luo Xiaobai's face was pale. She seemed to be seriously injured. Han Fei immediately said to her via voice transmission, "Xiaobai, don't kill the others. Just kill those three. The three captains of the half-mermaids. It's fine to release the others." Luo Xiaobai's response was still so simple and clear. She nodded lightly. But about 5 minutes later, the three captains of the sea demons knew the purpose of the humans. They had to make a choice. This time, they came in with the determination to die. Therefore, the three of them finally chose to give up. However, even so, the three of them still killed two human powerhouses. Only then did this battle come to an end. There were only 7 half-mermaids who escaped. There were 30 of them when they came, but only 7 escaped. Besides, only 2 of the 7 people still had immortal seals. The others' immortal seals had all been exhausted. On the human side, a total of 5 people died, 3 of which were blown to pieces, and 1 was cut off. There was only 1 hunter whose body was relatively intact. At this moment, Han Fei saw a group of people were about to gather around and ask about the Overlord. Immediately, Han Fei raised his hand to stop them and said to everyone via voice transmission, "Recover where you are. Danger is everywhere. Who is the leader? Come over and have a chat." Luo Xiaobai was half sitting on the ground at this moment, her face pale. Yi Baiyu immediately walked out. "Me, senior, who are you?" Han Fei shook his head. "I have nothing to talk to you. You don't look like a qualified captain." "Yi Baiyu?" Han Fei looked at Luo Xiaobai, who pointed at Lu Renquang. "You go." Lu Renquang was already very excited. However, he didn't dare to show the slightest surprise on his face and just hurriedly got up. Han Fei nodded slightly. "Fatty, give me those 2 life fruits. I need them." Yi Baiyu was speechless. "Am I not a qualified captain? This Fatty is not even a captain. How can you accept him? That's really annoying." As for why there were 2 life fruits? Because not every Sea Demon Realm powerhouse would leave a life fruit. There was a chance of that. It was already not bad to have 2 life fruits. Vine sent the 2 life fruits to Lu Renquang's hand. Then, under everyone's confused gaze, Lu Renquang and the Overlord walked farther and farther away and finally disappeared from everyone's perception. Someone wondered, "Who is that person?" Someone said lightly, "I'm afraid this senior just doesn't want to show up." Luo Xiaobai said lightly, "Don't talk about it. He must have his reasons for not staying. He should have another mission." Immediately, everyone understood. Yes, this undersea forest was extremely weird. This person hid so well. He must have some top-secret mission. Continue to ask for monthly votes. The plot is progressing quite fast. The next few days should be more exciting. I need your support. Recommendation, monthly votes, official reading, end of this chapter. Chapter 792. When Lu Renquang saw that it was an inferior manfish waiting for him, he was dumbfounded and couldn't believe his eyes. Howl! Feifei, how did you become this ugly inferior manfish? Just who turned you into this? Tell me. I'll ask senior brother Da Shuai to kill him. After seeing Han Fei, Lu Renquang came up and howled as if he were crying. Han Fei kicked him. Don't howl. Look at you. I've been away for so long, but you've only just become an advanced hanging fisher. What the hell have you been doing? Lu Renquang kept wiping his tears, which made Han Fei's eyelids twitch. However, Han Fei was delighted. Knowing that Han Fei was not dead, although he had become an ugly inferior manfish, Lu Renquang was still very happy. Lu Renquang grinned and said with a silly smile, I've worked very hard. Besides, I can't make a breakthrough just for the sake of it. I have to lay a solid foundation. Feifei, tell me first, how did you become an inferior manfish? Who was that big black guy just now? He was not a human. I saw that he was full of spiritual energy. Han Fei bared his teeth and said grumpily, That's a semi-divine puppet. Didn't you see that I couldn't attack anymore after only 2 attacks? Lu Renquang was full of disbelief. You killed 12 people twice. Especially the first 5, you didn't even use the immortal seal. You must have encountered a great opportunity, but will you go out with us this time? Han Fei thought for a moment and shook his head slightly. I want to see if I have been exposed to the sea demons. Possible I may have to go back. Lu Renquang was stunned. Why do you want to go back? Suddenly, an idea popped up in Lu Renquang's mind, but his expression suddenly became serious. Is your original body dead? So, the life tablet will shatter. Then, did you possess an inferior manfish? Han Fei rolled his eyes at him and kicked him. What are you thinking? My original body is not dead. Lu Renquang immediately breathed a sigh of relief. That's good, that's good. Lu Renquang didn't ask about Han Fei's secret. After saying a few words, his face darkened. Where's Xia Xiaochan? Do you have anything to do with the unusual movements in the sky and the sea demon mountains being moved away? Han Fei nodded. However, he didn't want to tell Lu Renquang about Chun Huangdian, which would put a lot of pressure on them. He hadn't even settled down in the Thousand-Star City yet. It was better not to let them know about what had happened in the Endless Sea realm. Han Fei said, You don't need to know anything else. Tell Xiaobai and the rest. Before Han Fei finished speaking, a blue flower appeared on the ground beside him. The flowers bloomed, revealing Luo Xiaobai's figure. Luo Xiaobai's face was still cold. I'm here. Han Fei was stunned for a moment. Then he chuckled and said, You don't have to worry about Xia Xiaochan. However, I suspect that what the Thug Academy experienced more than 30 years ago was far more complicated than what Old Bai said. There might be some unknown factors involved in this. What you need to do now is to increase your strength as soon as possible. I have to find a way to become a hidden fisher as soon as possible. Luo Xiaobai nodded casually. Got it. When will you be back? Han Fei thought for a moment. In fact, he didn't want to go to the 10,000 Demon Valley anymore, but he had to find a way out. Should he leave through the channel on the human side? The consequences were unpredictable. If he was sure that it would be fine on the sea demon's side, he would have to find a way to leave through the sea demon's side. If Qixue Huan wanted him dead, he wouldn't have sent him here. After all, most of the heavenly talents of the 10,000 Demon Valley were here. Also, he had 3 agreements with Qixue Huan. As for the heritage dredging fruit, he didn't necessarily need it. However, he still had to find it. If he could keep it, he would keep it. If he couldn't keep it, he could give it to her to gain her trust. Han Fei thought for a moment. It shouldn't take long. I'll go back after I take care of things here. Luo Xiaobai asked, What do you want to tell me? Han Fei thought for a moment. Keep an eye on Yang Ying of the Dark Hunter Legion. If she leaves the Scattered Stars Island and returns to the 36 towns, kill her. If she's still around, just keep an eye on her and wait for me to get back. Hearing this, both Luo Xiaobai and Lu Renkuang were stunned. Lu Renkuang suddenly roared angrily, "Was it Yang Ying's doing? Killed her?" Han Fei pressed Lu Renkuang. "I will avenge myself. Don't do anything unless she wants to leave." Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Got it. She can't get away." Han Fei thought for a moment. "Also, tell Tang Ge that I'm still alive. Also, tell him to go to the Twisted Jungle. The location is..." Lu Renkuang patted his chest. "Rest assured. I saw Tang Ge the day before yesterday." Han Fei thought for a moment and asked, "Do you have any news about the heritage dredging fruit?" Lu Renkuang was briefly stunned. "The golden fruit?" "Yes." Luo Xiaobai replied, "Yes. However, he hadn't found it yet. It was said that finding the 10,000-year tree demon would mean finding the meridian dredging fruit. However, the 10,000-year tree demon knew how to conceal itself. Even the semi-divine battle suit couldn't block its 10,000-year demon sting. If we encounter it, we need to be extremely careful." Han Fei frowned. "So, there is only one 10,000-year tree demon here?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "That should be the case. Our goal is not the 10,000-year tree demon, but we were told that if we encounter it, we should kill it if we can. Humans are here to protect the leafless tree. Therefore, we must fight the sea demons." Han Fei chuckled. "The sea demons are here to kill the leafless tree. By the way, what is this leafless tree?" Luo Xiaobai explained. "The leafless tree guards the passage. If it is killed, the passage to the demon plant forest will be reopened. However, humans can't guarantee whether the demon plants are still friendly to humans. All in all, we can't open this passage." Luo Xiaobai roughly told him about the demon plants, but she didn't seem to know as much as Xu Shan. Han Fei nodded slightly. "Understood." Han Fei smiled. "By the way, is there no map? We don't know where the 10,000-year tree demon and the leafless tree are." Luo Xiaobai pondered for a while. "According to the 1,000-year tree demon I control, the 10,000-year tree demon doesn't have a fixed position. However, the 10,000-year tree demon also seems to want to leave here. I'm afraid it is also trying to kill the leafless tree. So, if we find the leafless tree, we should be able to find the 10,000-year tree demon. As for where the leafless tree is, we don't know." Suddenly, a vine stretched out from the ground. "However, we have a leaf of the leafless tree." Han Fei froze for a moment. Wait a minute. Didn't you just say it was leafless? Why is there a leaf?" Lu Renkuang grinned. "It is said that there used to be leaves. Maybe it's all gone because it's too old." Han Fei rolled his eyes and immediately called out Little Black and Little White. "Girls, smell it. Where is the old tree?" Little White kissed the leaf, turned around for a while, and chose the direction on Han Fei's left. Han Fei immediately smiled. "Do you want to lead the team in this direction?" Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "Not for the time being. After we repair this place, we will continue to hunt sea demons. Otherwise, once we reach the leafless tree, there is no way to retreat. In terms of numbers, we don't have an advantage." Lu Renkuang sighed. "The sea demons launched an attack on the Scattered Stars Island, forcing us to not have enough people to come in." Han Fei thought for a while. "There are no more than 250 sea demons that came in. There are 11 people in a single group, and I killed 9 on my side. On this side, 7 escaped just now, plus those that have died. The current number is definitely less than 200. Lu Renkuang sighed. "We have a total of 120 people. Han Fei frowned. "Didn't they leave any powerful weapons?" On the sea demon's side, it seems that some of them have been taught the secret method of Sea God Descends. It's very strong. It's the one you saw just now. Besides, there is one thing you have to pay attention to. The sea demons may carry divine weapons, so be very careful." Lu Renkuang exclaimed, "Divine weapons?" Han Fei nodded solemnly. "They should be prepared for the leafless tree. They won't use them casually. If you find the leafless tree, you must be careful." Luo Xiaobai nodded. Han Fei bared his teeth. "Otherwise, I can't explain it to you." Lu Renkuang sighed. Why don't you go back with us? Isn't it dangerous to stay with the sea demons? Han Fei kicked him. Don't be a hypocrite. Get out of here. Suddenly Han Fei shouted, wait a minute. Lu Renkuang quickly turned around, and Luo Xiaobai also popped up again. Han Fei suddenly asked with a gloomy face, in the past few months, have there been any super strong masters who have come to the Scattered Stars Island? Lu Renkuang was shocked. How strong is very strong? Luo Xiaobai hesitated for a while and suddenly said, no strong masters have come to the Scattered Stars Island. However, one thing happened. It has been raining heavily on the Scattered Stars Island for half a month. Han Fei was at a loss. What's going on? Lu Renkuang was also at a loss. Isn't it because of the weather? Luo Xiaobai shook her head. In a secret scroll I received, there is such a paragraph of information saying that this is caused by a strong master calculating the heavenly secrets. I once heard from my ancestor that if the heavenly secrets are in disorder, it is very likely to cause abnormal weather phenomena. Han Fei frowned. Calculating the heavenly secrets? The heavenly secrets are in disorder? Han Fei nodded. Got it. You can go back. First update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 793. After separating from Luo Xiaobai and Lu Renkuang, Han Fei immediately asked, Old Shu, call me Big Brother. Who's the old man? Han Fei chuckled. Brother, what's up with this divination? What's with the disorder of heaven's secrets? Shu Shan was silent for a long time. Boy, did you do something to turn yourself into a sea demon and dare not return to the human race? Han Fei said helplessly, just tell me what's going on. Is it fun to make wild guesses? Shu Shan said leisurely, divination. It was something that could only be achieved by those who had at least 1 foot in the explorer realm, or even the venerable realm. What? The bracelet trembled. And the chaos of the heavenly mysteries must be accompanied by the concealment of the heavenly mysteries or the blessing of providence. If they want to conceal the heavenly secrets, they have to be at least a venerable level expert or have the protection of a magical treasure. Han Fei's heart slightly trembled. It felt so far away from him. He had only heard of the venerable before, but had never seen one. Would there be one in the Thousand-Star City? However, Han Fei was secretly relieved. The weather anomaly that Luo Xiaobai said should be over. However, he could not panic. If those people were still there, he wouldn't be able to deduce the void fishing art immediately even if he went out. Otherwise, he would definitely be discovered. Han Fei took a breath and said, whatever, let's find the 10,000-year tree demon first. Old Shu, how are the effects of 2 fate fruits? Shu Shan snorted. What can I do? Relatively speaking, it increases vitality a little bit, which is a little better than your spirit awakening fluid of less than 500 caddies. But when I helped you just now, I also consumed a lot of energy. As if he didn't hear the last sentence, Han Fei asked in surprise, life fruit is better than spirit awakening fluid? Shu Shan, of course, which is more important, lifespan or aptitude? At any time, any expert would think that lifespan is more important. Han Fei curled his lips. But don't you only have a soul left? Shu Shan said angrily, I don't want to talk to you, I'm going to sleep. Han Fei hurriedly said, don't. I'll have to rely on you to find the 10,000-year tree demon. You heard it just now. Semi-divine weapons can't block the 10,000-year demon's stinger at all. Shu Shan sneered. I don't want to talk to a hanging fisher who has a sea-quelling bizarre treasure. Han Fei. For Han Fei, finding the leafless tree was secondary. The passageway was there, and whether it would open or not was predetermined. Moreover, not everything had to fall on his head all the time. Over the past 3 days, he and Little White had been digging spirit fruits in that direction. It was really refreshing. At this moment, Han Fei was sitting on a giant algae. In his perception, there was an octopus disguised as part of the giant seaweed lying more than 300 meters away from him. And on the ground 1,000 meters away, there was a small forest. In the forest, There was an especially small stalk that seemed to be a material that surpassed the peak grade. It gave off the feeling that it was a material that could be used to forge divine weapons. Han Fei took out a peppermint leaf and stuffed it into his mouth as he quietly scanned the grove. Other than the 1,000-year tree demon in disguise, he had already discovered the 100-year tree demon. But among so many small trees, there was always a disguised 100-year tree demon. Moreover, he felt that there was danger here. Until now, Han Fei didn't know where the danger came from. In fact, Han Fei didn't want to take risks now, so he had been sitting here, exploring the underground bit by bit with his perception. Not far from the 1,000-year tree demon, there was a bunch of potato-like fruits. This was why he stayed here. He had been here for 6 hours, and he had chewed 7 or 8 peppermint leaves, but Han Fei still didn't move. Suddenly, in Han Fei's perception, a team of 7 sea demons appeared. Han Fei immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they were not human beings. Otherwise, he would have to think about how to stop them. Immediately, Han Fei didn't move but directly cast a stealth array and breath-concealing array on himself. He slowed down his breathing, just sat here, and watched the scene here quietly. Since those people had come, they would definitely find this place. He didn't dare to do it, but it wouldn't hurt to let them try. Han Fei was quite confident in his array. If their strength hadn't been suppressed to the demonization realm, it would be hard to say. But since they suppressed their strength to this realm, they wouldn't be able to find him. After a moment, 7 people came one after another. The man in the lead looked familiar to Han Fei, but he didn't know him. Han Fei wasn't familiar with these team members, but he had seen them all. Master Yuhi, this place is weird. There are so many small trees. There's a 100-year tree demon. Yuhi narrowed his eyes. More than that. Look at that thin stick-like thing. It's probably a 1,000-year tree demon. Suddenly, someone was overjoyed. Master, there's a large bunch of spiritual fruits underground, at least 20. Yuhi's perception also scanned it, and he licked his lips. Tisk, a 1,000-year tree demon and a 100-year tree demon in disguise? Destroy them. Han Fei subconsciously narrowed his eyes. He saw that when Yuhi bombarded the 1,000-year tree demon, the 1,000-year tree demon tried to stab it with its 1,000-year demonic stinger. But Han Fei felt something was wrong. Why didn't the 1,000-year tree demon move? Chilla. Suddenly, the seawater became viscous, and Han Fei subconsciously used the eyes of true vision. There's no problem. But suddenly, a sharp stinger pierced directly out of the ground 100 meters high. It was so fast that it looked like a flash of light in the seawater. Clang. Yuhi was horrified. He had been very careful. At the moment when the light appeared, he suddenly turned into a skeleton fish, and the flesh and blood on his body disappeared. In this way, the 3 fish bones were taken away by this stinger. When Yuhi was blasted away, he seemed to have hit a big net. Han Fei immediately thought of something. Fuse. The yin-yang divine eyes appeared, and then Han Fei trembled slightly. There was an invisible net above him, including the area where he was standing. Yes, it was silk that was completely integrated with the water. But this time, Han Fei looked at the thin small tree again, only to find that the roots of the small tree were connected to nearly 50 small trees. This didn't appear before, so he didn't notice it. Waves of strange power drilled into its body from the 50 small trees. Han Fei frowned. Impossible. Could it be? Yuhi was seriously injured and moved sideways. Not good, run quickly. It's a 10,000-year tree demon. Han Fei's pupils suddenly constricted. Is this a fucking 10,000-year tree demon? He had always thought it was a 1,000-year tree demon. He had been sitting here without moving just to see clearly how many 1,000-year tree demons and 100-year tree demons there were. But now he was told that it was a 10,000-year tree demon? Damn it, even the yin-yang divine eyes can't see the 10,000-year tree demon when it hasn't launched an attack? At least, in this strange illusory place, the eyes of true vision are completely useless. However, when Yuhi shouted, the 10,000-year demon's stings flashed like lightning, one after another. As long as one was stabbed, there would be a second one immediately. Then, a large number of straw-like vines would be thrown out in an instant, buckling the person who was stabbed. Semi-divine weapons were indeed useless in front of the 10,000-year demon's stings. One of the half-mermaids reacted in time, and after being stabbed, he turned into water and fled. His speed was very fast, but the 10,000-year demon's stings immediately found his position according to the fluctuations of the water ripples and stabbed him once, twice, 3 times, in the blink of an eye. Except for Yu-He, among the remaining people, only one guy who had turned into a jellyfish was still alive. Jellyfishes were like jelly. They didn't feel anything when they were stabbed once or twice. Unfortunately, the companion spirit summoned by the man escaped with its master and was stabbed to death in the next moment. The jellyfish without a companion spirit was stabbed hundreds of times. Countless vines buckled him, and then those straw-like things began to suck crazily, turning the jellyfish into a layer of skin. In the end, that layer of skin became a dried fish. As for Yu-He, he used Sea God Descends, and a golden phantom blocked in front of him. Clang, clang, clang. The jellyfish was stabbed again and again, and the man quickly floated up. More than 100 meters away, Yu-He's harpoon stirred crazily, and then Han Fei saw the invisible silk net. Oh no, to be precise, it was a kind of silk thread. It was terrifyingly tough, but it still failed to block the bombardment of the semi-divine harpoon. Yu-He finally broke out of the net, his face full of horror. At this moment, Han Fei knew that the 10,000-year tree demon was not invincible. However, within 100 meters from the bottom of the sea, it was invincible. Han Fei looked down. He seemed to be sitting at a height of only about 50 meters from the ground. Just when Han Fei was considering whether to flash out or not, suddenly, a voice fell in Han Fei's mind. Aren't you going to take action? It should be easier to rob him than to rob me. Han Fei narrowed his eyes. Fuck, was I discovered by this 10,000-year tree demon? That's right, I'm so close to it, and I only managed to conceal myself just now. How could the other party not find him? But why didn't it take action? Han Fei didn't know. However, this 10,000-year tree demon was right about one thing. It should be easier to rob Yu-He. At this moment, his Sea God Descends was stabbed dozens of times and almost couldn't take it anymore. The point was that Yu-He failed to block the first blow and was seriously injured. The corners of Han Fei's mouth immediately curled up. Looking at Yu-He not far away from him, he felt he was looking at a dead man. Void Chain. Lightning Blade. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 794. Yu-He didn't expect that he was already at a height of nearly 200 meters, but where did this chain come from? Sizzle. It was a bolt of lightning in the dark night. Apart from the fact that it didn't split into many branches and illuminated thousands of miles, its dazzling radiance was gorgeous enough. Han Fei was waiting for Yu-He's Sea God's descent to be useless before he took action. Yu-He, who was seriously injured, couldn't block the lightning blade. Sure enough, Yu-He was killed by Han Fei's sneak attack. However, he would still come back to life. Like everyone else, the immortal seal helped him block a blow and gave him a second life. However, more than 100 meters in the sky, in addition to Han Fei, there was also a steel warrior carrying an ice sword. As soon as Yu-He came out of the void, he saw Han Fei waving at him. Yu Fei. Yu-He's face became furious, but then panic. The terrifying knife light was reflected in his pupils in the blink of an eye. It was so fast that he couldn't react at all. It was so fast that he just reached out and took out a new semi-divine battle suit. Unfortunately, before he put on his clothes, the sword light had already arrived. Yu-He was cut in half by the sword light. And Han Fei waved his hand, put away the overlord, held the embroidery needle in his hand, and shouted wildly, "Big, big, big." A terrifying energy attack bombarded at him. However, Han Fei flashed and disappeared in this terrifying energy. With Han Fei's current strength, if he activated the majestic mystic spell and little fatty attached to him, he could easily block this blow. But why did he block it? Under him was the 10,000-year tree demon. Boom. A hole was blasted out of the seabed. Unfortunately, it didn't hit the 10,000-year tree demon. This fellow had already shifted his direction. As for those ordinary small trees, more than 30 of them were destroyed. Han Fei's Yin-Yang divine eyes found that there were only 4,200-year tree demons connected to the 10,000-year tree demon. Boom! A thick stick stood on the bottom of the sea. This stick had a radius of 2 meters and a height of more than 50 meters, standing quietly on the bottom of the sea. Clang, clang, clang. The 10,000-year tree demon tried to poke it a few times, only to be dumbfounded. It could only lift the stick that was thicker than a pillar a few meters high. Then it would fall again just like a pile driver. Han Fei chuckled. Why didn't you attack me just now? The 10,000-year tree demon was silent for a while. I know you are very dangerous. But you can't kill me either. You won't be able to find me if I go underground. Han Fei nodded. Indeed. I won't be able to find you if you burrow into the ground. However, I can kill all these 100-year tree demons. 10,000-year tree demon. There are many 100-year tree demons. How many can you kill? Han Fei chuckled. Why don't you have a try? Try running. After I get rid of these 100-year tree demons, do you think I can find you? That 10,000-year tree demon ran as soon as it said it would, and with a whoosh, it drilled into the ground. Han Fei was speechless. Where's your integrity? Where was the demeanor of an expert? You're really running away? Han Fei just narrowed his eyes and sneered. Do you think I'm kidding? The disadvantage of the 100-year tree demons was extremely obvious. They couldn't drill into the ground, which was the privilege of the 1,000-year tree demons and the 10,000-year tree demons. Also, the 100-year demon stings of the 100-year tree demons could only pierce 15 meters into the ground at most. This was already the limit, and it couldn't go any higher. Therefore, as long as their disguise was seen through, they were just moving targets. Although they could take out their roots and run away, how could they be faster than Han Fei? Half an hour later, none of the 4,200-year tree demons escaped. They were all wiped out by Han Fei. Han Fei even forcibly clasped 1,300-year demon stings. And the more than 20 fruits on the ground before. They were all lies, just a trick of the 10,000-year tree demon. Han Fei was very glad that he didn't make a move at the beginning, otherwise he might have been killed by the 10,000-year tree demon. Under the leadership of Little White, it only took half an hour for a big stick to stand on the ground again. Not far away, there was a tree no different from a normal small tree. However, its aura had been exposed. It wouldn't be difficult to find it again, unless it had been hiding underground and didn't come out. Han Fei thought, this is a kind of escape technique, but you can't always be underground. At this moment, Han Fei smiled and said, sure enough, I guessed right. Even if you are a 10,000-year tree demon, your strength is completely suppressed here, so you can't always hide underground. The 10,000-year tree demon was silent for a while. How did you find me? Han Fei bared his teeth. I don't know if you have heard of a saying. Whenever there is contact, there must be a trace. You have occupied that place for so long that it's too easy to find your residual aura. The 10,000-year tree demon scoffed. But you still can't kill me. Even if you have such a divine weapon, you can't kill me. Han Fei suddenly said, you have never been out of this world in your life, have you? The 10,000-year tree demon was silent. So what? Han Fei had an answer in his heart. No wonder he didn't know about the sea-quelling bizarre treasure. Otherwise, how could a 10,000-year tree demon not know about the sea-quelling bizarre treasure? Han Fei asked again, does the 10,000-year tree demon mean that you have really lived for 10,000 years? That's too long. As a tree, it's not easy for you to live for 10,000 years. The bracelet suddenly trembled. I haven't lived to 10,000 years. About 3,000 years. A 1,000-year tree demon of 3,000 years can probably forcibly absorb the nutrients of a 100-year tree demon, which can speed up its growth. Han Fei continued, Tree, you are a tree that has lived for at least 3,000 years. Do you really want to die? The 10,000-year tree demon didn't know why Han Fei changed the number of years and just responded, you can't kill me. Han Fei sneered. I can't kill you alone, but what if I call 10 people and come prepared? The 10,000-year tree demon said, they are no match for me. Han Fei narrowed his eyes. Can you shrink into the ground at the same time when you attack? Or can you infinitely burrow into the ground? Just now, didn't your 10,000-year demon stinger kill that person? Let me tell you, there are many people like that. I'm not in a hurry. I can wait for them to come. Then we can kill you together. The 10,000-year tree demon was silent and didn't speak. Han Fei didn't care and continued, "Of course, if you give me the heritage dredging fruit, I don't have to kill you. After all, it's very troublesome to kill you. I can even help you kill the leafless tree. Don't you want to go out? After going out, your strength will be liberated. Although you don't have the heritage dredging fruit, you'll become stronger." The 10,000-year tree demon replied this time, "Do you think I can go out just because you say so? Do you think those people can kill that old thief?" Han Fei frowned. From what the 10,000-year tree demon said, the leafless tree demon must be very powerful. Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Otherwise, why do you think we came here? Since you have lived for more than 3,000 years, you should know that sea demons and human beings have always been enemies. When human beings arrive and insist on saving the leafless tree, we may not have a chance. But if you join forces with me, why can't we kill the leafless tree? Could it be that its strength isn't restricted?" The leaves of the 10,000-year tree demon swayed. "You don't know how terrifying that old monster is. We can't kill it. If we could, we would have killed it long ago." Han Fei narrowed his eyes and continued to deceive. "Look at me, I have brought several divine weapons. Just now, you also saw that attack. Do you think that kind of attack can't kill it?" The 10,000-year tree demon said firmly, "Yes, it can't be killed." Han Fei couldn't help but feel a little scared. Even the sea-quelling bizarre treasure couldn't kill the leafless tree? That's fucking ridiculous. If so, why did Blue Feather let people come in to cut the tree? Well, unless some of these sea demons have been given some unique techniques. Shu Shan said, "Well, it's right. It can't be killed. Even if you have the sea-quelling bizarre treasure, you may not be able to kill it. You have to look at your own strength and level, right?" Han Fei's face was black. "What's wrong with my strength? What's wrong with my level? Is it shameful?" Han Fei ignored Shu Shan and said directly to the 10,000-year tree demon, "This time, we came with a powerful weapon, but it's not with me. Now I'm persuading you to give me the heritage dredging fruit. Anyway, you tree demons don't have demonic heritage, so you're not restricted by it. Otherwise, believe it or not, I'll take people to cut you down first even if I can't kill the leafless tree." Han Fei immediately said, "I know, there's only one heritage dredging fruit. Give it to me and then hide yourself. Hide far, far away. If you don't give it to me, once a second person comes, that heritage dredging fruit won't be enough. At that time, you'll die if you give it to me or not. I don't have much patience. I'll give you 100 seconds to think about it." Shu Shan said leisurely, "You're young, but you're quite arrogant." Han Fei said, "Can you stop talking? I've just raised my morale, but you've ruined it with just a few words." The 10,000-year tree demon seemed to be lost in thought. Han Fei unhurriedly took out a peppermint leaf, stuffed it into his mouth, chewed it a little, and added, "It's not easy to live for 3,000 years. Don't die for a fruit. The channel will open, but it depends on luck, on who wins, us or the human beings. You can hope that we win and then you can go out. Is the temptation of going out worth a fruit?" The 10,000-year tree demon asked, "How can I believe you?" Han Fei sneered. "Apart from the heritage dredging fruit, what else do you have that other people covet? Your 10,000-year demonic stinger? I don't have any hope for that thing. You ran so fast. Who knows where you went? As for your real body? I have a divine weapon. Why would I covet your real body?" The 10,000-year tree demon asked, "If you take the heritage dredging fruit and others chase me, what should I do?" "So, after you give it to me, you have to hide. Don't get close to the leafless tree, because it will become a battlefield. I'm not joking with you. If you get killed because you get close to the leafless tree, don't blame me." The 10,000-year tree demon pondered for a moment and suddenly threw out a golden fruit. The third night watch. Please vote. Today is the third night watch. For more exciting things, stay tuned next time. End of this chapter. Chapter 795. Han Fei waved his hand and Hai Shui sent the fruit to him. Information appeared in his eyes. Name: Meridian Dredging Fruit. Introduction: a legendary fruit born in the sea demon forest. It bears fruit once every 1,000 years and can reverse one's life. It is extremely rare. Eating it could forcefully increase the potential of living beings. Level: Heaven. Quality: high quality, contains spiritual energy greater than 468,500 points. Effect: increases one's life potential and cleanses one's muscles and marrow. No side effects. Remarks: only usable by those with spirit veins or demon veins of level 7. Spirit fruits of the same type could only be used once. Han Fei's eyes flickered. It's really good stuff. If he took this thing out to sell, people would probably fight over it, right? Of course, it was impossible to sell it. If he could hack it, that would be the best. With a flip of his hand, the fruit disappeared. Han Fei smiled. Smart choice. Remember, a great war is about to break out, and it is not something you are qualified to get involved in. If you encounter other sea demons chasing after you, don't panic, just kill them. They don't have my tracking skills. However, if he encountered a human, he must not make a move. Humans had too many tricks up their sleeves. If you meet them, just hide underground and come out later. Got it. However, the 10,000-year tree demon drilled into the ground with a whoosh and disappeared. Han Fei smiled and thought to himself, what a fool. He had never seen such a stupid creature except for the hexagon starfish. As expected, the easiest beings to deceive in this world are those who haven't seen the world. Shu Shan was shocked, as if he had seen something unbelievable. You tricked him just like that? Shu Shan didn't expect that Han Fei could get the heritage dredging fruit with just a few words. Was it that simple? Han Fei chuckled. I'm telling the truth. Tell me, why would a 10,000-year-old tree demon want such a thing? To it, this was a life-threatening thing. If that wasn't the case, I'm afraid no one would have asked me to snatch this fruit. Besides, if he doesn't give it to me, I'll really find a way to kill it. The bracelet shook a few times. Perhaps Shu Shan was muttering to himself, or did he think it was too easy? The meridian dredging fruit was not suitable for him to absorb at the moment. At the very least, he would have to wait until he had a Tier 6 spirit meridian. When the time came, he would use this thing to break through to the 7th level. To Qishua Huan? If it wasn't absolutely necessary, he definitely wouldn't want to give it away. It's time to find the leafless tree. Han Fei put away the embroidery needle and was a little worried. Although a normal person would have no sense of direction here. However, after so many days, there were bound to be people who explored it. The humans were few in number. If they really clashed with the sea demons, the battle would not be easy. Daughter, let's go and find a tree. Half a day later, Han Fei stood in a messy and broken woodland. The place was a mess. A large number of vines had been cut into pieces, and the ground was full of potholes from the battle. Han Fei also felt that there were remnants of arrays here, as well as strong knife intent and sword intent. I've finally met him. Unfortunately, there were no corpses here. They must have been taken away by humans and sea demons respectively. In any case, Han Fei smelled the intense smell of blood. Someone must have died here. I'm afraid the battle will only last for 2 hours. Han Fei frowned and then continued to search. With Little White leading the way, he wasn't afraid that he couldn't find the leafless tree. However, after swimming for less than 100 kilometers, he saw another battlefield. This battlefield had just been fought, and it definitely hadn't been more than half an hour. The smell of blood here was equally strong, which showed how fierce the battlefield was at that time. Suddenly, Han Fei heard vague screams coming from the seawater. Sea demon scream? With a swish, Han Fei rushed out. A distance of 300 kilometers was very close, and now he should be getting closer and closer to the leafless tree. Therefore, the battlefield appeared more and more frequently. When Han Fei swam 50 kilometers, he heard another sea demon scream, this time much clearer. Han Fei didn't stop and kept moving forward. However, when he perceived the battlefield, he found it very strange. Only 3 sea demons were still alive, and there were thousands of spider silk-like threads that tied the 3 sea demons. No, it's an ambush. Han Fei immediately bared his teeth. The humans had set up an ambush and deliberately kept the 3 sea demons alive. Han Fei immediately stopped, slowly took out a mint leaf, and stuffed it into his mouth. Although he didn't perceive anything around him, he seemed to feel that something dangerous was approaching. After perceiving for a while, Han Fei suddenly felt that something was wrong. He saw a red leaf on a giant algae vine. Su Hongye? Han Fei had once explored the snow god's temple with Su Hongye, so he naturally knew this woman's ability. The moment he saw the red leaf, he was alarmed, and an array was suddenly propped up. Then, the water rippled quietly 100 meters away from Han Fei. Puff! The giant algae on Han Fei's body was cut off, and he had been ejected. Stealth array? Breath-concealing array? Han Fei realized that an array master had come. Han Fei thought of Meng Yi. And the dagger attack just now, wasn't it Yi Xiangxiang? Immediately, Han Fei realized that he had run into an old teammate. Oh, this must be a team that was going to ambush me. In the end, he just had to come in by himself. Immediately afterward, an extremely fierce spear shot at him. It turned out to be a lock-on skill. Light flash. A golden harpoon appeared in his hand, and Han Fei quickly blasted it out. The harpoon hit the spear, and a huge force shook his body, but it didn't shake him. Han Fei took advantage of the force to escape. But then, a terrifying knife light appeared out of thin air, bursting out from more than 20 meters above him. Another lock-on skill? Han Fei blocked it with his harpoon. Clang. That was a stronger force than the spear just now. That saber strike was so terrifying that it probably had more than half the power of his drawing technique. Han Fei felt that his arms were numb, and he was cut from a height of 100 meters to the ground. Puff! Thousands of silk threads darted out, trying to tie Han Fei up. However, Han Fei seemed to have expected it. With a flying flower demon flash, he appeared 20 meters away. When Han Fei saw the array under his feet light up, he was speechless. A killing array? It's just to deal with me. Is it necessary to use a killing array? However, Han Fei was immediately relieved. It was not a special killing formation. It was a wave-breaking saber formation, which was similar to the Seven Spirits killing formation. It was a formation that used ripples as an attack method. Every ripple was equivalent to an extra knife. In the end, there were more and more knives, and the killing array was full. Han Fei smiled and pointed his finger, and a wave of water exploded at the edge of the array. In the next moment, the array was broken. Han Fei moved extremely fast and rushed forward crazily. At that moment, the sky was full of red leaves. However, Han Fei didn't care at all. A golden battle suit appeared on his body, and he rushed forward. Every time a leaf landed on his body, there would be a ding-ding-dang-dang sound. After a moment, Meng Yi and the others walked out of hiding with dumbfounded looks on their faces. Yi Xiangxiang asked curiously, "Is it possible? He's just an inferior manfish, but his reaction speed is too fast. Even the Dragon Moon Extreme Fire Knife couldn't hurt him at all?" Su Hongye smiled bitterly. "My attacks have no effect on him. It's not only because he's wearing a semi-divine battle suit, but also because his physique is extremely strong." Meng Yi pondered for a while. He broke the array in an instant. Maybe he knows arrays. Ning Dong walked over from a distance, confused. "This is the first inferior manfish that can take one of my spears." In the shadows, a woman in a red dress walked out with a dark red long knife in her hand. "He's not an inferior manfish." Looking at where Han Fei left, the woman frowned and said, "He's an azure sea blue demon." Yi Xiangxiang also asked, "What's an azure sea blue demon?" The woman said, "It's a special existence among the inferior manfish. It's a sea demon awakened by some unknown mutation and has a demonic heritage that can grow." Su Hongye was stunned. "Why haven't I heard of it?" The woman said casually, "Because even the azure sea blue demons aren't very strong. Although they can grow their demonic heritage, it's still very difficult to cultivate it to a very high level. Apart from the Azure Sea Blue demons, there's also a red blood demon in the 10,000 Demon Valley that's as strong as a sea spirit and as strong as a law enforcer. This? Yi Xiangxiang said in surprise. So, this Azure Sea Blue demon is a very special existence? He's stronger than other Azure Sea Blue demons? The woman in red nodded. Yes, judging from his reaction and strength just now, I'm afraid that none of the half-mermaids we met are stronger than him except for the captain. Meng Yi frowned. Let's kill the 3 sea demons and leave quickly. I wonder if their reinforcements are nearby. If we're surrounded, it'll be very disadvantageous for us. Bah! Han Fei spat out the peppermint in his mouth, picked a new one, and put it in his mouth. At this moment, he hid on a big leaf and scratched his head. He was sure that it was Meng Yi and the others. It's indeed the Scattered Stars' first unit. If I had reacted a bit slower and been surrounded by them, it would have been hard for me to get out. The bracelet slightly shivered. I'm interested in the armorist who shot you with a spear just now. If he's killed in the battle, give me his body. Han Fei rolled his eyes. Wait, old man, do you want him to die? Can't you be a sea demon for a few days? If you want to be a sea demon, I can get you a hidden fisher right now. After you possess it, you can quickly become stronger. The bracelet trembled. After I go out, I'll be seen through. Then, I'll be killed in the 10,000 Demon Valley? Han Fei smiled and said, No, old man, I think you can really consider it that way. After I go out, I'll help you kill a half-mermaid that's a hidden fisher. In the future, we may be able to cooperate. What do you think of selling spiritual stones? The currency systems of humans and sea demons are different, and their purchasing power is different. I think I can make a lot of money. Old man, say something. Chapter 796. Han Fei was sitting on the leaf to rest. If he guessed right, there should be more than one ambush on the way to find the leafless tree. For now, it seemed that the human side had an advantage. After all, Little White took out a leaf of the leafless tree, indicating that the human side had been in contact with the leafless tree. Han Fei even suspected that the leafless tree took the initiative to contact the human side and pull the human side to rescue it before the sea demons did. Just when Han Fei was about to let Little White continue to look for the leafless tree, suddenly, the demon purification pot moved and began to spin. Han Fei subconsciously got up and scanned the surroundings with his perception. With a sweep of his gaze, he suddenly saw an old face on a large tree not far away. Han Fei felt that his hair was standing on end. Was it really that weird? A human face? Who are you? The golden harpoon suddenly appeared in Han Fei's hand. He looked at the big tree coldly, ready to take action at any time. The tree face laughed and said in an old voice, Aren't you all looking for me? I'm here myself, so you don't have to look for me. Han Fei's heart trembled. Are you the leafless tree? The eyebrows on the face raised. Yes. You can call me that. Han Fei narrowed his eyes. Why are you still looking for me? Han Fei thought to himself, this is my first time here. I don't even know what you look like. Why are you looking for me? The corners of the mouth of the face were trembling, and it said leisurely, I've paid attention to you. You have no feelings for those half-mermaids and half-mermaids. On the contrary, you are very friendly to humans. I have a guess. You are not a sea demon, right? Han Fei was shocked. How did the leafless tree know that? Is his perception range so large? Han Fei looked at the leafless tree expressionlessly and said, How can I be a human? I am indeed a sea demon. The tree face smiled and said nothing. After a while, it said, When I guarded this passage, the person on you shouldn't have been born yet. After so many years, this place has become a new demon forest. Nothing can hide from me. Han Fei glanced at the universe bracelet in surprise. Shu Shan has been discovered. Han Fei wondered, So? Why are you looking for me? The tree face said, You have a different aura. It's an aura I'm very familiar with. I felt it 30 years ago. Han Fei's pupils suddenly constricted. More than 30 years ago again? What a freaking coincidence. Han Fei tilted his head. So? The tree face raised its eyebrows. Actually, whether or not the passage is opened has nothing to do with me. It requires an opportunity. However, this opportunity hasn't arrived yet. You've come too early. Han Fei's expression remained unchanged. Oh really? When will it arrive? The tree face smiled slightly and said, an opportunity is an opportunity. In the moment it comes, that second, you will know. It doesn't come when I say it will. However, when the opportunity arrives, it will also be the moment I escape from the sea of suffering. Pondering for a long time, Han Fei asked, are you saying that the opportunity has something to do with me? The tree face nodded slightly. It should be. It was just a feeling. You're special. In fact, you're really special. You look different from ordinary half-mermaids, and you've been trying to kill them. Han Fei chuckled. You know I'm different? Han Fei chuckled. He didn't quite believe what the leafless tree said. Han Fei calmed his expression and stared at the tree face. How do I know if you are the leafless tree? Also, why did you come to me now? The tree face sighed and said, I need someone to come and save me. Han Fei frowned. There are so many strong human beings. What's the point of calling me if you don't call them? I'm only one person. Can I help you kill so many sea demons? The leafless tree said, I'm not sure if the human side is full of good people. However, I have informed some of the people who hold my leaves. However, there are a lot of sea demons, and they are destroying my foundation. Han Fei asked, destroying your foundation? What do you mean? Since you can perceive all of us, it shows that you are very strong. Can't you kill those sea demons yourself? The old face of the leafless tree was full of sadness, and it let out a long sigh. My strength is not as strong as you think. Otherwise, no one would have sent a sea demon to kill me. You should know that this demon forest is actually just a channel. This passageway had been heavily sealed by an expert. The purpose is to prevent some top masters from passing through here. Killing me can't actually open the channel, but it can gradually lift the seal. Do you know what this means? Han Fei frowned. Once the seal is lifted, strong masters can come in and then forcibly open the channel? The leafless tree nodded. Opening the channel and connecting to the sea demon forest, will it cause a huge change? Even I don't know. However, this will not only have an impact on humans and sea demons, but also on our sea demon forest. The bracelet trembled and Shu Shan said, it's right about this. No one knows what the consequences will be. Once, humans fought side by side with the demonic plants of the sea demon forest. At that time, it was said that the sea demon forest was wantonly destroyed. After all, the demonic plants you saw were very powerful, probably just because people had never seen them before. Once they figured out the fighting style of the demonic plants, it might not be difficult to kill them. For example, the previous 100-year tree demons and 1,000-year tree demons. Even the 10,000-year tree demon, didn't you get the heritage dredging fruit from it? Han Fei pondered for a while. You said someone is destroying your foundation. The leafless tree replied, I have two main foundations. One is the 100-year tree demon and 1,000-year tree demon you found. It's like an array. The more the materials of the array are damaged, the more unstable the foundation will be. Han Fei asked in surprise, they are the foundation of the array. The leafless tree nodded slightly. They grew up here and have long been inseparable from this channel. However, this is secondary. If I kill them, I'll be killed. If there are too many of them, they will also hurt me. Also, as the main array core of this large array, as long as the earth veins here are destroyed, my strength will be greatly reduced. Han Fei frowned. What earth veins? I don't know. The leafless tree replied, there are 3 teams of sea demons that know how to destroy earth veins. Han Fei asked bluntly, then what can I do for you? The leafless tree replied, even if the earth veins are destroyed, they can be saved, but I need a trustworthy person to do this. Han Fei thought to himself, I don't even know if I can trust you. Do you trust me so much? Han Fei replied, I'm a sea demon. Do you trust me so much? Suddenly, an illusory light and shadow appeared in front of Han Fei's eyes. In that light and shadow, there was a vine leaf. When he saw this vine leaf, in Han Fei's mind, the demon purification pot spun frantically. But the vine leaf of the demon purification pot? Han Fei gasped and looked at the long face in shock. You, the leafless tree said, I sensed it when you came in. Although I don't know what it is, I know you need it. Unfortunately, I can't give it to you now. Han Fei's eyes flickered. When can you give it to me? The leafless tree trembled its branches and leaves and said, When the opportunity arises, you will come again. Knowing the vines of the demon purification pot and the trembling of the demon purification pot, he basically confirmed that the leafless tree was telling the truth. Han Fei asked, How can I help you repair the earth veins? Swish, swish, swish. Suddenly, under the seabed, more than 20 red spikes emerged. 1,000-year demon spikes? Han Fei asked in surprise, Why are there so many 1,000-year demon spikes? In front of Han Fei's eyes, the void changed again. It was a complete map of the secret realm, like an irregular rectangular map. However, the geographical scope of this secret realm seemed to be very large, so he had never been to the border before. On the map, he could clearly see where he was. On the map, there were more than 20 red dots marked. The leafless tree said, The earth veins in these places have been destroyed. As long as I put these 1,000-year demon spikes there, I can control the earth veins myself. You can find a nearby earth vein and have a look. Then you will know whether I am lying to you or not. There have been battles there. Han Fei nodded. I will confirm it. In addition, since you can control those 100-year tree demons and 1,000-year tree demons, protect humans. The leafless tree sighed. No, I can only control the 100-year tree demons. The 1,000-year tree demons will not be controlled by me, and the 10,000-year tree demon may even consider killing me. Huh. The leafless tree explained, after becoming a 1,000-year tree demon, their intelligence has been extremely high. And staying in this secret realm will infinitely suppress their strength. Only by killing me and escaping can they have a chance to grow. Especially the 10,000-year tree demon, his strength is already extremely strong in a certain sense. If it weren't for the suppression, they would have already killed their way out. No wonder. Han Fei frowned. No wonder. If I were sealed in this world and my strength has been suppressed to the peak of the demon transformation realm, I'm afraid I would also find a way to kill the leafless tree and escape, right? Chapter 797. Han Fei quickly swam towards the nearest red. According to the scale of the map, the red dot was about 800 kilometers away. On the way, Shu Shan asked, Do you really believe what that tree said? Han Fei thought for a moment. Why not? If there is indeed a lot of demonic energy left in that place and there are traces of destruction underground, then what it said should be true. The bracelet vibrated slightly. Your vigilance seems to have disappeared when you saw that vine. Do you know that thing? Han Fei smiled secretly. How can I tell you about the demon purification pot? No. Shu Shan snorted. Then you know it. However, it looks like an ordinary grass vine. There doesn't seem to be anything special about it. Han Fei didn't explain. He didn't want to and wouldn't explain this kind of secret to Shu Shan. He swam about 500 kilometers. Suddenly, Han Fei perceived that somewhere 40 kilometers away, there was a team of sea demons fighting. The target of the battle was a 1,000-year tree demon. Among them, Han Fei knew one of them, Yu Yun. Han Fei frowned, cast a breath-concealing array and a stealth array on himself, and quietly approached. About 30 kilometers away, Han Fei sat on a giant algae vine. Han Fei was not afraid that his perception would be discovered. In the same realm, he didn't think these sea demons would be stronger than him. Just when Han Fei stuffed a mint leaf into his mouth, he found that a face appeared on the giant algae next to him. Han Fei said in surprise, You're here again? The corners of the leafless tree's mouth curled up. In this demonic forest, I am everywhere. I can appear on every plant. Han Fei was shocked. This passage was more than tens of thousands of kilometers long. This leafless tree said that it could be everywhere. How strong was it? No wonder it trusted him so much. Before Han Fei asked, it said, "Don't think too much. I'm not that strong. Because I'm the sealing formation core of this passageway mystic realm, I can sense everything around me. Once I leave here, I can't perceive such a large range." Bam. Amidst the resplendent golden light, the 1,000-year tree demon was killed by the team leader. The man landed on the seabed and took out a dark green seed. The moment he placed the seed on the ground, he immediately shouted, "Everyone, rise into the sky." When everyone was dozens of meters above the ground, the seed began to swell. Pa! When the seed exploded, a large clump of dark green grass sprouts burst out. The blade of grass began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, a small seed covered a radius of several dozen meters. When Yu Yun saw the captain, she smiled and couldn't help but ask, "Lord Fishbone, we have already dropped 2 seeds. What is the use of this seed?" Yugu took a deep look at Yu Yun and said, "Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. All you need to know is that this will help us kill that withered tree more easily." On the other side, Han Fei was stunned. Demon-shattering vines? The leafless tree said, "You know this kind of thing?" "Yes, this thing seems to be the demon-shattering vines. It can invade the earth veins, take root, and soon cover a large area. Then, it will pull away my control of this hell and erode my power." Han Fei swallowed. "Can I put it anywhere? The team I was in before also killed a 1,000-year tree demon, right?" The leafless tree shook his head. "Not everywhere. These people have been here many times. They had already scouted out the location of this passageway mystic realm. Besides, as long as they find the 1,000-year tree demon, it is equivalent to finding my weakness. They know that." Han Fei didn't believe the leafless tree's words just now, but now that he saw Yu Yun's team drop a demon-shattering vine, he was 80% convinced. The demon-shattering vine grew faster and faster, and soon, it covered a range of about 200 meters. Han Fei suddenly asked, "No, the demon-shattering vines I have seen can only cover a range of about 50 meters. However, this one has covered a range of 200 meters and is still growing." The leafless tree said, "That's because they are absorbing the power of this earth vein." Han Fei asked, "Can't you kill these demon-shattering vines?" The leafless tree sighed. "Once it is invaded by them, I can no longer control this area, and I will lose my perception of this area. I want to disappear." Before the leafless tree finished speaking, the old face had disappeared. Disappear just like that? So fast? The bracelet trembled and Shu Shan said, "Now, I believe it a little bit. This demon-shattering vine is indeed not a good thing. Not only is it highly poisonous, but it also has a very strong sense of autonomy. Although it will produce things like the demon spiritual fruit after it grows up, it is more harmful. If it is in the right place, it can even cover a range of hundreds or even thousands of kilometers." "Thousands of kilometers?" The bracelet trembled. "That's right. This is the fastest growing demonic plant that I know of. However, when it reaches a certain level, it also needs to make a breakthrough." Han Fei asked, "What level?" Shu Shan replied, "I don't know. Some are level 30, some are level 40, and some are level 50. It depends on the area they are in. If there is no accident, this demonic forest can satisfy their growth to level 40 in one go." Han Fei was shocked. "Really? Don't they have entrances?" The bracelet trembled. "Of course they do. Otherwise, if they continue to grow indefinitely, no one will be able to do anything to them. Everything has a limit, but the demon-shattering vine may have fewer restrictions." It wasn't until the demon-shattering vine grew to more than 500 meters that Yu Yun and the others left this area. After confirming that they had left the range of his perception, Han Fei slowly approached the other side, and information appeared in his eyes. Named Demon-Shattering Vine Introduction: a deep-sea hunter, highly poisonous, flexible, and covered with barbs. It feeds on large fish and shrimps, can hunt according to the abnormal movements of the water, and has a very strong sense of autonomy. When it matures, it will produce demon spiritual fruit, which can enhance the power of the soul. Level 39 quality, exotic contains spiritual energy greater than 3,208 points. Effect, inedible, collectible, none, unabsorbable. When he saw that the demon-shattering vine was only level 39, Han Fei breathed a sigh of relief. Han Fei landed and walked straight to the middle of the vines. Immediately, countless vines surged towards Han Fei. Bam! Han Fei casually punched out, and a large number of vines were crushed. Bam! 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 One punch after another, the demon-shattering vines on the surface were soon crushed. However, the vines buried deep underground gave Han Fei a headache. They had all drilled into the ground. What should he do? Besides, those broken vines were still growing out. Nine tails come out. After the nine-tailed mantis shrimp appeared, it circled around Han Fei and rubbed against him. Han Fei kicked out. Go, dig a hole and smash all these vines for me. The nine tails glanced at the vines and thought, do you really need me to do such a simple thing? Hundreds of void chains shot out and frantically drilled into the ground. Immediately, the vines were pulled out by the nine-tailed mantis shrimp one after another. It took Han Fei more than 10 minutes to completely crush a demon-shattering vine. The leafless tree popped up again, his old face hanging on a tree. You're very fast. Now, as long as you leave the 1,000-year demon sting, I can control the ownerless demon sting and reoccupy this place. Han Fei said with some distress, these are all good things. They can pierce through semi-divine weapons. The leafless tree, Han Fei asked, Mr. Tree, can you give me some? Look, I've done my best. The leafless tree said helplessly, every 1,000-year tree demon will only leave 1,000-year demon sting. In return, I can give you something else. Han Fei was overjoyed. He just said it casually. Even if the leafless tree didn't give him anything, he would still bury the 1,000-year demon sting. After all, this was not a personal matter. Only when the leafless tree was strong could it better deal with the sea demons and protect human beings. Han Fei couldn't help asking, what is it? Can you tell me in advance? The leafless tree was silent for a while and said leisurely, my sap. Han Fei. Sap? Why does it sound strange? What's the use of it? The leafless tree said slowly, it has strong energy and can strengthen your physique. Han Fei was embarrassed. It doesn't sound very useful. If I need energy, I have spiritual fruits. If I want to strengthen my physique, I can cultivate the indestructible body or the desolate god body. Han Fei shrugged and casually threw a 1,000-year demon sting into the ground. Okay, it's better than nothing. With a swoosh, Han Fei leaped out again. On the way, the big face of the leafless tree had been following him. The leafless tree said, you may have to speed up. There are already 7 teams of sea demons within 5,000 kilometers of me. There are only 4 human teams, and it will only take them about 3 days to get here. Han Fei felt a headache coming on. More than 20 earth veins have been destroyed. How can I be so fast? The leafless tree was silent for a while. There is another person who is also cleaning. Han Fei couldn't help but ask in surprise, who? The leafless tree said, you've met her. That Luo Xiaobai. However, she is only responsible for cleaning 5 places. She can't be too far away. She is a really powerful manipulator. Xiaobai? She is leading a team? Chapter 798. 3 days later. A golden shadow shuttled wildly in the sea, not daring to stop for a moment. The big face of the leafless tree appeared everywhere Han Fei swam. Sometimes, it appeared on the vines of the giant algae, sometimes on the big trees he passed by, sometimes on the grass, and sometimes in the coral reefs. The leafless tree said, humans and sea demons have encountered each other for the 6th time. Now, most of the teams are within 3,000 kilometers of me. A team of sea demons has found me. However, they were killed by the ambushed humans and the means I set up. Han Fei complained, I know. Don't you see that I am trying my best to save your earth veins? In the past 3 days, Han Fei's legs almost broke from running. On the first day, he didn't want to expose little gold. However, later he found that after a day, the destroyed earth veins did not decrease but increased by 1. Fortunately, when all the sea demons gathered around the leafless tree, the number of earth veins destroyed began to decrease. On the 3rd day, that is, at this moment, Han Fei had saved more than 40 earth veins. Now there were 12 left. Just swimming alone made him want to vomit blood. 3 hours later, Han Fei repaired 2 more earth veins. Suddenly, the old face of the leafless tree suddenly appeared on a big tree in front of Han Fei. He said, "They're all here. All the sea demons and humans have come. At this moment, I am controlling a large number of sea creatures and fighting them." Han Fei vomited blood and said, "Big brother, master, I am not a god. My speed has reached the limit." The golden shadow roared past, leaving scratches in the water. Since the leafless tree paved the way for him, he had never encountered any obstacles. Even Little Gold's possession was not enough, so he directly used the sea racing technique. Han Fei couldn't help but think of Yi Baiyu. If that guy was here, his speed would be much faster than Han Fei's. After another 3 hours, the leafless tree appeared. The sea demons and humans had a big battle and suffered heavy casualties. Both sides suffered losses. Nearly 16 people died on the human side. Nearly 26 people died on the sea demon's side. Han Fei was speechless. How could so many die? Don't they all have immortal seals? The leafless tree muttered, "So many people died because of the immortal seal." Han Fei's blood was freezing. Speaking of which, what if we don't repair the remaining earth veins? I think I can go back and help? Han Fei felt the bracelet vibrate. If you go back now, you may have already fought another battle by the time you arrive. At that time, you might not have the chance to come back and destroy these demonic shattering vines. If these demonic shattering vines continue to grow, this place might have already been covered in demonic shattering vines a few years later. The leafless tree said, "The demon shattering vine can't be left. Otherwise, if we miss anything, the tunnel will still collapse." Han Fei immediately gritted his teeth and said, "Mr. Tree, you have to hold on no matter what." There were 2 people who could not die no matter what. One was Luo Xiaobai, and the other was the fatty who knew the sky-swallowing technique. Do you know which one? The leafless tree said, "I know." Boom! Countless fist marks crushed the ground, and the 9-tailed mantis shrimp quickly pulled out the vines from the ground and crushed them. What? Han Fei roared, "It's done. Mr. Tree, how is it going? How's the battle going?" The big face of the leafless tree appeared. "The third war is brewing. Now there are 132 sea demons and 76 human beings." "Wow!" Han Fei gasped and said in astonishment, "So many died again?" The leafless tree's mouth was ugly. "That's not bad. The main thing is that many of the creatures I summoned died. However, the third war should begin soon. You can come back now." Suddenly Han Fei said, "Mr. Tree, help me keep an eye on the dead humans. If there's a human with decent talent and a well-preserved corpse, we'll secretly leave one behind." The bracelet vibrated. "It had better be a soul warrior." Han Fei hurriedly added, "It had better be a soul warrior." But with that, the big face of the leafless tree disappeared. Han Fei took a look and found that he was still more than 10,000 kilometers away from it. He didn't know what to do. Bam! The golden light broke through the sound barrier and rushed away. The leafless tree was exactly the same as the scene Han Fei had seen before. It was indeed a bare branch, without a single leaf and only 6 branches. Within a range of more than 5,000 meters, there was nothing. Outside, a dense crowd of sea creatures gathered here. For a long time, Han Fei had never met many creatures. Was there no creatures in this demonic forest? Of course not. But in the beginning, perhaps when Han Fei and the others just came in, some rather powerful creatures had already been summoned by the leafless tree. 100 kilometers away from the leafless tree, there were corpses everywhere and countless creatures had died. The war broke out again, and a huge octopus slapped its giant claws, but in the next second, a light flashed and this big octopus exploded. And the one who attacked was a sea demon that Han Fei didn't know. It was not a heavenly talent wearing a golden battle suit, but just an ordinary sea demon. Compared to these marine creatures, their opponents were all genius-level powerhouses. Even though those people were not very strong in Han Fei's eyes, for these sea creatures, they were not just strong, but terrifying. Unless they were exotic creatures, they might be able to fight against these sea demons. If they were not exotic creatures, they almost had no power to fight back. After all, the spiritual wisdom of sea creatures was relatively low, while the sea demons were at least awakened sea creatures. However, fortunately, these sea creatures were not fighting alone. They just withstood part of the pressure, and human beings were the main combat force. Suddenly, a voice sounded in all the human beings' minds, "Humans, get out of the way. I'll fight this battle myself." Someone asked, "Senior Leafless, can you do it?" The leafless tree said leisurely, "I can still buy you some time to rest." On the sea demon's side, more than 100 people were charging with all their might. For sea demons, they had an extremely powerful ability, which was the fish tide charge. It was different from the fish tide charge in the Heaven Human Canyon when Han Fei first came to the Scattered Stars Island. This time, it was a heavenly talent fish tide, and none of them was weak. Dozens of half-mermaids wearing golden battle suits and holding golden harpoons were rushing rapidly. At the same time, tens of thousands of sea creatures were also charging. The leader was a purple gold lobster. Behind it was a group of poisonous ink octopuses and scarlet levo shells. Like a torrent of steel filled with dazzling golden light, it converged and merged with a raging black tide. Blood was spreading. Limbs were flying. Kill! The cold light that broke through the water, like sharp blades, frantically tore these sea creatures whose strength had been suppressed. In just an instant, more than 1,000 people were killed or injured. No one knew how long this demonic forest had been accumulating these creatures. At this moment, they were dying, and blood mist pervaded the entire sea area. The human heavenly talents looked at this scene solemnly, quite moved. They never thought that they would fight side by side with sea creatures who had always been reduced to food. Seeing that a large number of creatures were dying, dozens of red stingers pierced through. Because the speed was too fast, those stingers would make continuous swishing sounds when shuttling back and forth. A sea demon was pierced. Even the semi-divine battle suit failed to block this terrifying stinger. Some ordinary sea demons had their heads pierced through, and their blood spilled all over the dark sea. A half-mermaid heavenly talent roared, "It's that dead tree. It's attacking with the 1,000-year demon's stinger. All captains, take out your divine weapons." In the next moment, a total of 12 people each took out a triangular purple fragment. As soon as these fragments were taken out, they quickly gathered. After a while, a ball-shaped weapon appeared. The divine weapon shone brightly, and tens of thousands of purple lines suddenly appeared in the sea. Rip! In the blink of an eye, the bodies of thousands of living beings were sliced apart. Most of the dozens of 1,000-year demon stingers collapsed in the blink of an eye, as if they were shredded by an invisible force. On the human side, someone took a breath and said, "The 10,000 demon silk, a high-quality divine weapon. It's very evil, and it's said to be made from the meridians of 10,000 sea demons. However, it's not complete. There should be 15 pieces." Chao Jiaran said lightly, "Someone with a divine weapon fragment has died. Let me do it." Suddenly, the sound of a flute rang out. A bamboo branch flew out from Chao Jiaran's waist. It was so fast that it traveled dozens of kilometers in the blink of an eye. Wherever it passed, layers of invisible silk threads were melting. The bamboo branch went straight to the purple ball. The two real divine weapons launched a battle between divine weapons. Layers of sticky silk threads wrapped the bamboo branch like a spider web, but they were also broken layer by layer. On the sea demon's side, someone shouted, "Retreat, retreat quickly. It's the void-breaking shuttle. Although it's a mid-quality divine weapon, it's a one-time consumption. Besides, the 10,000 demon silk is not complete, so it can only be evenly matched. I didn't expect humans to have such a weapon." Bam! An explosive ball hundreds of meters in diameter exploded on the bottom of the sea. The ripples set off huge waves, sweeping for dozens of kilometers. Everyone on both sides subconsciously retreated. Chao Jiren shouted, "Senior Wea, do it." In the sea, horror was spreading. Whither? The phantom of a 1,000-meter-tall giant tree suddenly appeared. Endless dead branches, like the sharp claws of skeletons, stretched out from the bottom of the sea. Anyone entangled by the dead branches was aging rapidly, their skin was wrinkling, and their flesh and blood were drying up. Dozens of sea demons were sucked dry and finally disintegrated into ashes. A half-mermaid heavenly talent suddenly walked out of the crowd. A white ice ball full of infinite vitality rose into the air. The dead branches froze in an instant and collapsed in large pieces. A half-mermaid heavenly talent shouted, "I knew you would use this move. If I hadn't been prepared, I wouldn't have come." On the human side, a woman in red looked solemn. Another high-quality divine weapon, the frozen key. Chapter 799. On the human side, everyone looked solemn. The woman in red said with an ugly face, "It seems that this time, the sea demons are determined to kill Senior Leafless." They took out 2 high-quality divine weapons in a row. A human powerhouse sighed. Fortunately, the frozen key is only a one-time consumable divine weapon. If they use it in a battle against us, I'm afraid they'll have to pay a heavy price. The terrifying frost was spreading at a frightening speed. A large piece of white frost quickly condensed on the huge withered tree phantom, and then it broke inch by inch. The magical power of withering was completely suppressed and finally burst into pieces. In the distance, several sea demons shouted, "Retreat for now." The third battle was completely a battle between the sea demons and the leafless tree. But after this battle, on the leafless tree in the distance, 3 withered branches were shattered. Obviously, this time, the leafless tree had paid a huge price. No matter how powerful the leafless tree was in the outside world, in this secret realm, its strength was only at the peak stage of the demonic transformation realm. No matter how strong it was, it couldn't completely withstand the attack of a high-quality divine weapon. The sea was filled with blood. The collective charge of the sea demons caused a large number of marine creatures to die, and the leafless tree was seriously injured. And the price the sea demons paid was the death of 2 high-quality divine weapons and 13 people. Humans were here. Luo Xiaobai Yibayu, Chao Jiaren, and a woman in red, several hidden fishers, gathered together at this moment. Chao Jiaren said lightly, "When we came, we speculated that the sea demons might take out 3 divine weapons. Now, they have already taken out 2. We should only have 1 left, right?" The woman in red nodded slightly. "I have 1 more here, but it must be used at a critical moment." Someone said solemnly, "We lack materials, and consumable divine weapons are extremely rare. If the other party has more than 3 divine weapons, I'm afraid we will suffer heavy losses." For a moment, everyone fell silent. On the sea demon's side, someone looked at Yuji solemnly. "Are you the only one left in your team?" Yuji frowned. Yu Fei is still alive. Yu Ying can disintegrate, so he should still be alive. Someone snorted. "Still alive? Why hasn't he appeared yet? What a pity." If it weren't for the fact that he hadn't collected all the 10,000 demon threads, the leafless tree wouldn't have been able to fight back at all. "It's hard to say now." Someone said with a serious expression, "Let's wait for another half a day." The bone transformation spiritual lamp was on Yu Ying. If she doesn't show up, it means that Yu Ying is dead. Yuji was stunned for a moment. Bone transformation spiritual lamp? Why didn't I know about this? That person said in a cold voice, "Divine weapons and treasures are always carried by people with extremely powerful escaping abilities. It won't be exposed until the very last moment." Yuji's heart trembled slightly. "There is something wrong with Yu Fei." Yes, at this moment, Yuji confirmed that there must be something wrong with Han Fei. At that time, after he saved her, he immediately parted ways with her. Did she go to find Yu Ying? However, Yuji couldn't be sure. Yu Ying wouldn't expose the bone transformation spiritual lamp, so how did Han Fei confirm it? Could it really be a coincidence? Moreover, Yu Fei hadn't appeared yet. Had he also died? Immediately, Yu Ji grew vigilant. If neither Yu Ying nor Yu Fei appeared again, there would be nothing to be suspicious about. But if Yu Fei appeared alone, then there was definitely something wrong with him. Speaking of which, Han Fei was still rushing. To be honest, he really didn't know that Yu Ying was carrying a disposable divine weapon. If Yu Ying hadn't sensed something wrong with him, if Han Fei hadn't been afraid of exposing himself, and if old Shu Shan hadn't frozen Yu Ying with his terrifying power so that Yu Ying couldn't find other sea demon teams in time, he would have been on the kill list. At this moment, an expert said solemnly, "Human beings have only used one divine weapon so far. There must be at least one more. Yu Ying and the bone transformation spiritual lamp are still missing. This battle won't be easy." In the demonic forest's secret realm, a streak of golden light was rushing. In the blink of an eye, it passed dozens of giant algae vines. Han Fei was thinking, what should I do when I arrive at the battlefield? Ask Shu Shan to take action? I'm afraid this old man won't agree. Besides, I'm afraid he's not strong enough. Otherwise, he wouldn't have just killed 5 people in the battle with Luo Xiaobai and the others. Overlord? As it turned out, Snowmorn consumed too much spiritual energy in one attack. Unfortunately, I don't have any spiritual stones with me now. Otherwise, with spiritual stones as the foundation, I might be able to make a few more slashes. Bone transformation spiritual lamp? Han Fei remembered the terrifying disposable divine weapon. Unfortunately, I can't activate the Overlord, so I can only activate it with my own demonic energy. Wait, can I activate the ultra-quality demonic stone? Han Fei's rushing figure suddenly stopped. Han Fei had never used demonic stones, nor did he dare to use them. That thing was too violent. It was on a completely different level from spirit stones. If he used it rashly, not only would he not be able to absorb the demonic energy in the demonic stone, but it would also conflict with the spiritual energy and hurt his body. But what about the Overlord? The Overlord was just a puppet. It had no flesh, blood, or meridians. Was there any difference between spiritual energy and demonic energy for it? The big face of the leafless tree appeared. Why did you stop? I'm too heavily injured to fight anymore. Han Fei's eyes flickered. I want to do an experiment. Immediately, Han Fei took out an ultra-quality demonic stone and stuffed it into the battery slot of the Overlord. Then, Han Fei threw a golden harpoon to the Overlord. After a moment, boom! Holding the harpoon, the Overlord smashed more than 100 meters of vines and reefs in one fell swoop. Han Fei was overjoyed. Good. 3 hours later, a large group of sea demons was on guard. They were ready to attack the human camp again in one go. This time, killing the leafless tree was the biggest opportunity in many years. Once they missed it, they didn't know when they would have the next opportunity. Someone said solemnly, "Don't wait for Yu Ying. I'm afraid something has happened to her. Get ready. Charge here and scatter a little. I'll take the lead. Even if the human side is protected by divine weapons, I'll block them." Someone echoed, "Everyone, success or failure depends on this. Once we succeed, you and I will both be heroes. All of us will be given the secret technique of Sea God Descends, and we can also choose more advanced techniques. We must succeed." Bam. Suddenly, everyone's heart thumped and they all looked into the depths of the demon forest. Someone said in surprise, "What's going on?" The human side was stunned. What's going on? Who's fighting at this time? In a moment, 2 figures, one in front and one behind, rushed into everyone's perception range. In their perception, an inferior manfish turned into an afterimage, and his body was moving and turning extremely nimbly. Behind the inferior manfish, a 2-meter-tall, fully armed, tower-like brawny man slammed down with a golden seal in his hand. Bam! The inferior manfish was sent flying, directly smashing a large area of spiritual plants and reefs. But with a tap of his foot, his figure ejected out again. Bam! The golden seal reappeared, and the place where the inferior manfish fell was immediately smashed over. But then, a chain appeared in the void. The inferior manfish who had just ejected was suddenly whipped by the chain and sent flying again. Han Fei spat out a mouthful of blood mist. When the second chain appeared, the figure of the inferior manfish suddenly flickered and appeared more than 20 meters away. Both the sea demons and the humans were shocked by this scene. It seemed that the brawny man was extremely strong. Immediately, someone among the sea demons roared, "It's him, the hidden human powerhouse." Yu Fei, he's still alive? The range of more than 10 kilometers was very close. Han Fei resisted 3 bombardments, and some sea demon powerhouses had already rushed up. As for the towering muscular man, he slowly moved towards the humans. With a ball of blue flames in his eyes, he stared coldly at Han Fei, who had already escaped. Immediately, someone grabbed Han Fei and quickly retreated. What happened? What happened? Seeing that he had been saved, Han Fei suddenly spat a mouthful of blood on the face of the person who saved him. The sea demon looked extremely awful. "Damn it, where did you spit it?" Han Fei said. The golden fruit was snatched by him. Golden fruit? Immediately, a sea demon powerhouse realized something and couldn't help but ask in surprise, "You went to grab the heritage dredging fruit?" Han Fei sneered in his heart. Sure enough, there were still people who knew about the heritage dredging fruit. It seemed that he was not the only one who had been entrusted with this task. Immediately, some people surrounded him. "Yu Fei, how did you escape? That person is extremely powerful. Can you withstand one of his attacks?" Han Fei hurriedly said, "I used my secret method. However, that person actually has a tracking skill. No matter where I escape, he will catch up with me." Immediately, Han Fei felt a gaze fall on him. Han Fei followed the gaze. It was Yu Ji? Yu Ji frowned and looked at Han Fei. "Have you seen Yuing?" Han Fei said blankly, "No, isn't she here?" Seeing Yu Ji frown more and more, Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. Did Yu Ji notice something? She shouldn't have. At that time, Yu Ji shouldn't know what happened. Besides, her life was saved by him. She shouldn't suspect him. The eyes of a powerhouse flickered and he finally said, "Take a rest. Later we'll charge. Yu Fei, recover quickly and participate in the decisive battle with humans." Han Fei cursed in his heart. Fuck. Can't you see that I'm so seriously injured? Do you still need me to take action at this time? These people are suspecting me. This was Han Fei's first thought. Chapter 800. No one knew what the sea demons were thinking. But on the human side, they were dumbfounded. However, many people were overjoyed and said to the Overlord, "Senior, you're still alive." Someone scolded, "What are you talking about? Can you say something more auspicious? What do you mean I'm still alive?" Someone asked, "What's going on? Who's this?" Someone said, "This is the senior we mentioned before. He once killed 12 sea demon heavenly talents in 2 moves. He's extremely strong." But someone said in shock, "Our backup plan?" While they were still in shock, Luo Xiaobai rushed to say, "Don't panic. I know this senior. He's indeed our backup plan." They all looked at Luo Xiaobai, and the woman in red said, "Why didn't we know?" Luo Xiaobai said indifferently, "I can't tell you." Lu Renquang was secretly delighted. "I haven't seen Han Fei for 3 days. I thought he had an accident. Fortunately, he showed up in the end." However, Lu Renquang was also a little guilty. Han Fei is really careless. He even dares to attack the sea demons? Among all the people, only Chao Jiaran made a clear judgment immediately. He's acting. If she hadn't contacted Han Fei before, she wouldn't have noticed it. But since Chao Jiaran had contacted him, she naturally knew that he was acting. Immediately, Chao Jiaran informed her team members, "Don't talk about it." Meng Yi stood up and said, "That inferior manfish is an azure sea blue demon. He's extremely strong. At that time, many of us ambushed him, but we couldn't stop him." Ning Dong coldly made a throat-slitting gesture at the sea demons. Ning Dong didn't know the inside story and was just venting his emotions. He really wanted to kill that inferior manfish, because he had attacked him in the previous ambush and was easily blocked. However, just when the two sides were brewing their emotions, Han Fei's wrist suddenly vibrated. Shu Shan's voice sounded in his mind, "Find a way to escape. You've been exposed." Han Fei's heart trembled slightly. When was I exposed? Wasn't my performance perfect? Everyone who knew something was wrong with me is dead. I even left Yuji alive as proof. How do you know? Shu Shan said, "One of them has a soul residing in his body. If I'm not wrong, he must have sensed the divine weapon you stole." Han Fei panicked. He didn't expect that he would be exposed because of the bone transformation spiritual lamp. If he had been in contact with the bone transformation spiritual lamp, then Yuji's question about where Yu Ing was, his answer would be a big mistake. Just this point alone was enough for the other party to conclude that he was lying. Lying at this time was obviously a problem for him. As for why the other party did not attack immediately, obviously, because he had the bone-transforming spiritual lamp, the other party did not dare to act rashly. He was now in the nest of the sea demons. If he suddenly used the bone-transforming spiritual lamp now, the sea demons would suffer heavy losses. Therefore, the other party only wanted to delay him temporarily and wait for an opportunity to attack him. At this moment, all his thoughts became clear. Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. It's really about the details. He had thought that his acting skills were good and was ready to use the bone transformation spiritual lamp. Although he could use it now, the result could be imagined. He was surrounded by so many people here, but once he used the bone transformation spiritual lamp, he would probably be killed in an instant. Han Fei faintly noticed that someone was already accumulating strength and seemed to be dealing with him. It's over. It's over. How can I escape? At this moment, Han Fei knew that his image had been completely ruined. However, there was still a chance to save himself. He was now holding the bone transformation spiritual lamp in his hand, so they didn't dare to attack him for the time being. They could only find an opportunity to kill him. They had to find an opportunity, and Han Fei had to find an opportunity to escape quickly. Han Fei directly said to the leafless tree via voice transmission, "Mr. Tree, is there any way to take me away?" In his heart, the leafless tree's voice sounded, "Why?" Han Fei replied, "I've been exposed." The leafless tree was silent for a while. "There are too many people around you. I can't do anything now." Han Fei was lost for words. "If there's anything, just say it." The leafless tree said, "Try to find a way to reduce the number of people around you, the fewer the better." Han Fei was stunned. "How can I find an opportunity? No, I have the bone transformation spiritual lamp. Even if they attack me, there won't be so many people attacking me at the same time. They will definitely be afraid of me." Han Fei couldn't help shaking the bracelet. "Big brother, help me. Do you think there is a soul living in the other side? Is it strong? Can you get me out of here?" Of course, Han Fei didn't want to die, even when he was facing Chun Huangyan. Knowing that Xia Shaochan was fine, the first thing he thought of was to save himself. At this moment, the Overlord was not by his side. There was a fist mark of the Chao family on his body. But once the fist mark of the Chao family broke out, Chao Jiaran would definitely notice it. At that time, she would ask Chao Qiu and immediately know who he was. Besides, Chao Jiaran had also used the fist mark of the Chao family in front of others. If he used it, it would arouse suspicion. At that time, once he returned to the Scattered Stars Island, he wouldn't be able to explain that he could become an inferior manfish. Suddenly, Han Fei's eyes lit up. It seemed that he still had a chance to use the mirror of icy salt. Immediately, Han Fei secretly breathed a sigh of relief. There's a chance. The mirror of icy salt could copy himself. As long as the timing was right, he could save his life. Thinking of this, Han Fei was no longer worried. However, he had to be vigilant all the time in case others suddenly attacked him. After a moment, a half-mermaid leader stood up. "Get ready. In this battle, there is no so-called combat skill competition. We just have to go all out in one go. This time, a lot of people might die. But if we can kill the leafless tree, we can enjoy the glory of the Sea King and become heroes of the 10,000 Demon Valley." With that, the half-mermaid looked at Han Fei and said, "You Fei, I know that your inherited talent is the Overlord body, which is stronger than the Sea King's possession. If you have the Sea King's possession, you will have the strongest physique among all the people here. You'll follow the rest of us. When we charge, you'll lead the way. Is that all right?" Han Fei sneered in his heart. "So soon you want to attack me? I can't wait. Fuck, fortunately, I robbed several refining shops in the 10,000 Demon Valley in time. Otherwise, the image I tried so hard to play this time would be in vain." However, on the surface, Han Fei still said expressionlessly, "No problem." The man nodded. "That's good. Everyone, get ready to charge." It was the first time that Han Fei had participated in the so-called Sea Demon Charge. The first condition for the charge was the Sea King's secret method, which was a must-learn ability for all heavenly talents. When Han Fei frowned and used the Sea King's secret method, he felt that the white flames, when used by a large number of people, were faintly connected. The powers seemed to be stronger. However, at this time, the bracelet trembled slightly. "Something's wrong. The secret technique you're using is absorbing your life force." What? Han Fei didn't know what to say. No wonder every time he used the Sea King's secret method, he always felt that something was wrong. It turned out that this secret method was deadly. It turned out that this secret method was not without side effects. On the contrary, the side effect was extremely great. It could even absorb vitality. Han Fei was shocked. Who absorbed this vitality? The Sea King? But wasn't the Sea King dead? Han Fei subconsciously realized that something was wrong. The Sea King was not dead. Or, the Sea King had a new heir. Otherwise, there was no reason for him to crazily absorb other people's vitality through the secret method. How many people were there in the 10,000 Demon Valley? No wonder 8 out of 10 half-mermaids and half-mermaids he saw knew the Sea King's secret method. It turned out that there was such a benefit. Han Fei thought, "I won't use this secret method again in the future. I don't even have enough lifespan to use. Why should I let you absorb it?" Of course, this was not the time to think about this. Han Fei responded, "Got it. Under normal circumstances, I won't use it again." Because of his strong physique, Han Fei was arranged to charge in the front row. He stood with those captain-level guys in golden battle suits. Beside Han Fei, a person bared his teeth and roared, "Everyone charge!" On the seabed, smoke and dust billowed. Everyone rose from the ground, and the hazy white flames connected into one. As soon as Han Fei charged, his speed soared. He was releasing his perception and waiting for an opportunity. However, after only charging for about 3,000 meters, Han Fei found that the large force behind him slowed down a little. Advancing side by side with him were 5 captain-level powerhouses. Han Fei cursed in his heart, and the next moment, the mirror of icy salt was instantly activated. As if sensing Han Fei's movement, one of the captain-level powerhouses suddenly shouted, "Do it!" In an instant, 5 Sea King strikes that were stronger than a stream of light were launched in an instant. Clang, clang, clang. A big shield suddenly appeared behind Han Fei. No one noticed that at that moment, Han Fei's figure suddenly flickered. In the next second, the ultra-quality big shield was instantly torn apart, and Han Fei was instantly blown up. When a piece of white crystal fell, everyone's face changed. Damn it, it's fake. Underground. Han Fei flashed into the ground with the flying flower demon flash. That was the cave that the leafless tree had prepared for Han Fei. The underground cave was full of twists and turns. As soon as he landed, Han Fei set up an invisibility array for himself. However, the invisibility array alone was useless. These people weren't called heavenly talents for nothing. With a sweep of their perception, they immediately found Han Fei's location. However, at the moment when they were about to take action, a blue demonic flower suddenly appeared. Immediately afterward, Han Fei set up a breath-concealing array for himself and then fled in a hurry. On the human side, many people looked at Luo Xiaobai in astonishment. Chapter 801. On the human side, many people were confused. Only Chao Jiaren's team seemed to have figured out what was going on. Luo Xiaobai said lightly, "Undercover." "What? We have a sea demon undercover? Is there such a strong spy? Wow, is there a strong master who possessed the inferior manfish?" For a moment, everyone was dumbfounded. So, the chase just now was all an act? A smile appeared on Lurenquang's face, and he thought to himself, he's used to acting. If you know who he is, you'll be scared to death. Of course, he couldn't tell anyone about this. He absolutely couldn't reveal it. Chao Jiaren frowned slightly. She glanced at the overlord standing like a wooden stake not far away and felt a little weird. The captains on the human side also looked at the overlord. If they were acting, then who was this person? Was he working with the inferior manfish? Having lost track of Han Fei, the 5 captain-level sea demons exchanged a look, knowing that they couldn't back down now. If they didn't launch a full-scale attack at this moment, then when Yu Fei met with the human side later, if he used the bone transformation spiritual lamp, the situation would be even more disadvantageous for them. Only if the two sides fought now would Yu Fei be unable to attack. After all, the bone transformation spiritual lamp was a directional divine weapon. When it was illuminated in one direction, everyone in that range would be slowed down. They would be melted into nothingness in 2 seconds. Therefore, the captains roared, "Ignore Yu Fei, charge at full speed." Yu Ji was in the charging team, and her face was all black. Damn it, shouldn't they deal with the traitor first? Why did they charge directly? Thinking of the effect of the bone transformation spiritual lamp, Han Fei took a breath. If the two sides fought together, they would be useless. On the human side, seeing that the sea demons really launched a charge, they didn't delay because of Han Fei's escape. Immediately, a group of people stood up. Someone shouted, "Everyone, prepare the secret method." Someone said, "The immortal seal is not finished yet. It's in front." Luo Xiaobai ordered, "All manipulators, listen to my command." Swish. Not far away, the overlord suddenly drew his sword and stabbed Frostmourne into the ground like a lone hero. Seeing the overlord unsheathing his sword, one of the sea demons sent a voice transmission, "This person is extremely powerful. Unless the sea god descends, no one can stop him." Immediately, 2 captains shouted, "Let's do it." Chao Jiaren was about to play the flute when she heard a voice. "Does your illusion still work? Create an opportunity for me." After a brief daze, Chao Jiaren replied, "There are too many of them. The illusions will be broken by the terrifying power." Han Fei turned around and asked the leafless tree, "Mr. Tree, I have a divine weapon. Can you break into the sea demons?" The leafless tree responded leisurely, "If I break in, I won't be able to get out." Han Fei. Before Han Fei asked Shu Shan, the latter directly replied, "I can't fight my way in with a divine weapon in my current state. If it was in the past, I wouldn't even need a divine weapon. I could kill them all with just a sword." Han Fei didn't know what to say. Han Fei sighed. It's hard to deal with them. Of course, Han Fei wouldn't rush out stupidly. Even though he was confident in his own strength, only a fool would dare to fight against an army of heavens chosen all by himself. At this moment, rumble! The ground was shaking, and hundreds of huge vines rose from the ground. It was a giant twisted vine made from thousands of fine vines. It had a diameter of 20 meters. After a while, it reached 100 meters long. This was a powerful force exerted by all the manipulators at the same time. In addition, the seawater was filled with a massive amount of poisons. All kinds of paralyzing venoms, crazy venoms, melting, aging, life-devouring, spirit-sucking, and other toxins covered this area of the sea. Among them were a large number of strengthened poison god. However, the charging sea demons roared, "Sea King Dragon Array!" A layer of white light rose like a barrier. All the poisons in the seawater were separated, and none of them could melt into this barrier. Death Door Sect, attack. Someone shouted, and then giant gates fell from the sky one after another. After 18 giant gates fell in a row, the ground completely stopped shaking. giant vines were sweeping, and hundreds of giant vines were scattered on both sides like guards. At the moment when the sea demon army charged here, they waved one after another. In Han Fei's shocked gaze, the dazzling white light that seemed to fall from heaven tore apart the giant vines one after another, and none of them could resist this terrifying impact. Han Fei couldn't help but swallow. It turned out that the power of a team could be magnified to this extent. He had an intuitive feeling that this was much more powerful than the fist marks of the Chow family. Although the fist marks of the Chow family could exert a blow of a peak-level hidden fissure, the difference in power was too great. Now, the power in this white light was probably even more powerful than the 10 fist marks of the Chow family. Can the 3 death doors resist it? Han Fei immediately rejected this idea. Maybe the sea demons were not as good as humans in terms of combat skills. However, in terms of absolute power, they were not much worse than humans. He had already discovered this in the battle in the Heaven-Human Canyon. Now, Han Fei's guess was confirmed. Han Fei took a breath and spoke to Luo Xiaobai and Lu Renkuang telepathically. Don't charge forward stupidly. Do you still have divine weapons? Use them. Luo Xiaobai nodded. Got it. Before Luo Xiaobai said anything, the woman in red from the human team walked out. Everyone, retreat another 3,000 meters. Captain. Sure, Sanyue, you can't stand in the front alone. The woman in red shouted, I know what I'm doing. Armorists, retreat 1,000 meters. Take out your shields and armor. Seeing the woman in red stand out, Han Fei thought of something and spoke to Chao Jiaran telepathically again. If the sea demon army can stop for a moment, can you cast an illusion? It'll only take half a second. Chao Jiaran received Han Fei's message again and was silent for a second. Maybe less than half a second. What do you want to do? Be fast. Han Fei followed the sea demon army underground. Less than half a second? Han Fei thought to himself, I've tried my best. If I can't make it in time due to special circumstances, don't blame me. The red-clothed woman stood coldly behind the door of death, in front of everyone. Her hands were behind her back, and a purple token was flipping on her fingertips. Boom. Crack. Crack. The triple lifeless door was destroyed too quickly. It was so fast that the sound of it shattering was like a continuous barrage of bullets. Da-da-da. When the final door shattered, a large purple order floated into the air. Boom. Rumble. Bolts of purple lightning rumbled down like rain, pouring down like a tide. The woman in red quickly retreated. The shields behind her represented the armorist's determination to fight to the death. What made Han Fei's teeth hurt was that Lu Renkuang was among them. Fortunately, the speed of lightning was fast enough. After all, thousands of lightning bolts struck down in the blink of an eye. Gotcha! In just an instant, the charging formation was broken. The white light shield was full of cracks in less than half a second before it was broken. Sea God descends. Sea King possession. Blue whale riding technique. Water moon giant. A large number of secret techniques were burned, but they couldn't stop the bombardment of the purple lightning. In the blink of an eye, 20 or 30 people were blown into pieces. However, among these people, there were still some whose immortal seals hadn't been exhausted. Therefore, the real number of enemies killed by this divine weapon couldn't be more than 20, or even less. Woo! After 2 purple lightning bolts, the purple token had been shattered. Melodious music sounded, and a misty fog was set off on the bottom of the sea. Luo Xiaobai glanced at Chao Jiaran and pointed at the void. Summon, blue poisonous flame. Chilla! Thousands of blue flame petals bloomed in the crowd and merged with the misty fog. Now! Han Fei burst out, broke the water barrier, and rushed into the mist crazily. 1 second. 2 seconds, less than 2 seconds later, the music stopped abruptly. Although Chao Jiaran's face didn't change, she was bleeding from her eyes, nose, and mouth. Obviously, she couldn't resist this impact. Luo Xiaobai also vomited a mouthful of blood with a puff. The moment the mist dissipated, Han Fei's figure appeared. Immediately, a sea demon roared, "Disperse!" Hundreds of void chains rose up, and Han Fei had already rushed in. He didn't dare to use the flying flower demon flash, fearing that he would be nailed to death on the spot as soon as he appeared. However, a withered tree suddenly appeared in the void and pushed Han Fei. In the next moment, a strange light appeared. It was as gorgeous as an aurora, but this light could only cover more than 300 meters in a fan shape. At that moment, all the sea demons burned their essence blood and rushed forward, and Han Fei only covered about 30 people at once. And within 1 second, 6 ran away. Within 2 seconds, a total of 11 ran away. Those who didn't run away within 2 seconds couldn't run anymore. Their bodies were melting at a speed visible to the naked eye. More than half of their bodies had melted. How could they run away? Even those who had already run out, as long as they didn't run out in the first second, the 5 who ran out later were already seriously injured. At least, Han Fei almost couldn't recognize that they were half-mermaids. Their eyes, noses, and mouths were gone, and the skin on their bodies was gone, leaving only squirming muscles. On the human side, the group of people was stunned and overjoyed. This inferior manfish was really powerful. On their side, only a dozen people were killed by a purple lightning token. He alone killed at least 20 of them, right? A half-mermaid roared angrily. You Fei, damn you! However, at this moment, the bone transformation spiritual lamp had been broken. Han Fei had rushed into the ground and slipped away again. At this moment, Han Fei curled his lips. I'm proud to contribute to mankind. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.